The new Modus Super Series champion.
Oh my word!
It's another incredible moment tonight.
Jeff Smith.
It's match down.
5-star performance.
Pull for big fish.
It's
Jack Drayton!
Another. Oh, double 19. How about that from Westy?
Back into the leg slightly, but it could all be academic. For
Game,
Reese Collie with a
shot,
1-5-8 to deny.
Reese Collie.
I just need to play my own game and win as many as I can.
It's double 16 for a 101.
Game short. And the
Finishing
third
has
Kevin
been
Edwards.
brilliant.
So tops then for Duff to level up. Tops he's found, takes out the 110.
Double 18 for a 101.
Game short. and the
Finishing
third
has
leg.
been very
Forward.
good indeed. Now looking at 160.
Another to send himself through. Bonito
shot,
Van der Pas
and
is
the
into
match.
Saturday night.
Saturday at the Super Series, and we have another finals night for you, live from the Modus Super Series live lounge in Portsmouth and free on Pluto TV. Evening, welcome along to another jam-packed evening of arrows, action, and along for the ride with me tonight is Laura Turner. Laura here to watch the action on another Saturday, and if we get the drama we had this week, particularly last night, it should be a good evening, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it was very exciting climax to Group B. It was to be expected. It was a tight group throughout, but ultimately only 3 could go through to tonight. It'd be interesting to see how things play out.
Yeah, absolutely. Over the course of the week, the players have been battling it out. 12 have become 6, and here are the players in action tonight. He's in pursuit of a record-equalling 6th weekly title, and he's looked in fine form this week. Steve West means business. Paul Hogan has had some magical moments this week. Despite being the outsider in Group B, will Crocodile Dundee snap up a 3rd weekly title? He's won more titles than anyone else in this building. Duffman looks to make it a Super 7 with victory this evening. 3 years away from the live lounge, Big Ben is back and is into the weekly finals for the very first time. Reese Collie looks solid this week, a near perfect group campaign and dangerous on the outer ring. Will there be chaos tonight? It's been 3.5 years since we last saw Kevin Edwards reach a finals night, but Flatliner's back and looking to shock the field. So there are the players that have made it to finals night. We're going to show you now how they got here. And I suppose, Laura, the week started with this narrative of the 2 most decorated players in this venue, Steve West and Neil Duff, playing each other all week. But actually, Steve West made sure it wouldn't be all week because he won Group A, got 2 days off, and he did it in pretty emphatic fashion.
He did, yeah. He managed to qualify quite early on Wednesday and just ran away with that group. It wasn't necessarily to be expected. Thought it might have been a bit tighter, but Steve West just proving why he has got 5 titles here.
Yeah, and he is a player that we may be seeing the best version of now. He said himself, you know, he usually has to grow into a week, but he's had various difficulties over the last few years. He's still picked up titles along the way, but are we seeing him at kind of full darting fitness now?
Yeah, I recall not so long ago where he had to have that little breakaway from the sport because he had to have an operation to try and right some of the injuries that he's been carrying. So ultimately, if he's in a good place, and it looks like he is, then perhaps playing injury-free, we're going to see the very best of Steve West.
And maybe we'll see that this evening once again. In terms of Group B, we saw from Group A there, Neil Duff and Bonito Van der Pas go into it. They've both made it through, but it was a dramatic group. Paul Hogan winning the group, but we'll start with Duff. This narrative will continue throughout the evening. Who's the greatest of them all? Who's won the most titles of them all? But in terms of Neil, he did have that kind of week that West predicted for himself. It was a slow start, so he did well to get into Group B, and then he always seems to find a way, doesn't he?
He does. You can't explain it any better than that with Neil Duff. But he came here off the back of having a few days out in Denmark, so it wasn't the best preparation coming into Monday. Really was slow to get off the mark. Got better. Got into Group B by just one leg. It was very tight indeed, and had to wait to the very last match last night, or early hours of this morning, to make sure he was here on finals night. It was a bit of a bumpy road for Neil Duff.
It wasn't much of a bumpy road for Paul Hogan, because he did all the damage really on Thursday, and he just went to show that in that Group B, if you have one really good night, then you have got a little breathing space. But he did need that breathing space, it turned out, in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. It became a lot tighter than we imagined. Paul, though, was in a very strong position, knowing that one win, that would have been enough to seal his position here. And how it ended, it was such a tight group that 10 points was enough to top the group in the end.
Yeah, he's through. Going through with him as well is Bonito van der Pas. Let's talk about him, because we haven't seen an awful lot of him. 3 years since he was here. He's not played really much in terms of PDC darts, but when he was in the PDC, he was a top 16 player, so we know he's got the talent. Has he started to show it a little bit this week?
I mean, his best day was most definitely yesterday. Big finishes, big averages, big moments as well. He had to play himself into a position, because unlike Paul Hogan, he only picked up a solitary win on Thursday, so did very well to make it through to tonight. But yeah, we're seeing some really good stuff from him. He's described this really as a bit of a process to see where he is at the moment, and looks like he's in a good place.
Yeah, certainly with 105 average, he's in a very good place, and if he can replicate that tonight, then he's certainly going to be amongst the contenders, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I'm really intrigued to see how he'll do now. Obviously, he's played here previously, but he hasn't played here on a Saturday night, hasn't done it in front of an audience. We've got a nice crowd in this evening to watch all the entertainment unfold. So yeah, I am intrigued to see how he gets on, and I hope he does well.
Yeah, about half of that crowd, by the way, are here supporting the Group C winner, Reese Collie, who does bring a bit of a following with him when he comes here to the live lounge, and he won Group C in sensational style, an almost perfect campaign.
Great to see him playing so well. We were questioning what version of Reese would turn up the last outing. It was a difficult one for him, but ultimately he just seems to have worked on things. He's been away playing in vaults, making sure that he's getting all the practice and time on the oche, and it's paid dividends. He went through the card on Thursday, and he backed it up on yesterday on Friday.
Yeah, saw Aston Villa win as well, so a perfect week for Reese Collie. He goes through as the Group C winner. Great performance from him throughout that campaign, and he won the group just ahead of Kevin Edwards. We go from chaos to flatliner, and the styles and the approaches couldn't be more different, could they? Kevin Edwards just seems to be this kind of player who likes to fly under the radar.
He does. Kevin had a really good first day. He only lost one game. That was against Reese Collie. But coming into Friday, I think he was nervous. He said by his own admission, yeah, the nerves started to get the better of him. Didn't play too well those opening two games. Managed to get the win that sealed him a spot. And then after that, the pressure was off, and he averaged in excess of a ton. So we know the levels he's got. It's just what he does here, because we haven't seen him on a Saturday night since Series 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long time coming for Kevin Edwards, but he is here, and now we're going to show you the lineup for the groups tonight. So the 6 players split into 2 groups, and Kevin Edwards is put in that group with the 2 big hitters, Steve West and Neil Duff. Paul Hogan and Reese Collie have both won finals nights before, so there's maybe a similar feeling. But is it safe to say that, at least in Modus Super Series terms, that the 2 heavyweights have been pitted together?
How can you argue not? They've got 11 titles between them. So ultimately, yeah, Kevin Edwards is going up against 2 of the most experienced players that we have that come to the live lounge. So it will be a difficult task. And Kevin Edwards out first against Steve West. So, maybe the nerves might get the better of him, but who knows? If Kevin plays well, then he is another player that could push those 2.
Yeah, let's just illustrate that record that Steve West and Neil Duff boast here at the Super Series. Now, these are just weekly titles, so we're not including the specials weeks, of which they've both won as well. But Neil Duff, the most, won more than Steve West. So Steve West will be aiming to draw level in terms of weekly titles tonight, but Duff will have the motivation, of course, of putting a bit of daylight between the pair of them.
Look, both these guys, I know there's been banter in the back room. They get on really well. They know each other really well. But ultimately, bragging rights are on the line, as well as another shot at Champions Week. And I think Neil Duff, he said it in his interview yesterday, he actually sees these weeks now as qualification. His eye is on Champions Week, and that's his main focus. But he's got a tough task because we've got 5 other players that are vying for that title as well.
Yeah, Champions Night semi-finalist, last time around. Let's see what the bookies think then in terms of who is the favourite to take the title tonight. And they are going with Steve West. A bit of movement for Bonito van der Pas now. Level second favourite with Neil Duff, because I presume his performances last night caught the eye, and then Collie, Edwards and Hogan, but nobody is really painted as a huge outsider there. I guess you wouldn't be surprised to see any of them lifting the trophy tonight.
I wouldn't, not at all. I will just point out Paul Hogan, he went into Group B and he was outsider by 10-1. So if he sees himself at the foot of the table again, then yeah, just a warning to the rest of the crowd. He likes to upset the odds.
Let's just show you then the order of play for this evening before we do get the action underway, and the opening match will be between Steve West and Kevin Edwards. The groups will play alternately, so Paul Hogan against Bonito van der Pas, and then by the time we get to game 3, well, it could be an exit or progression for players involved in that. Edwards versus Duff, van der Pas versus Collie, and Neil Duff versus Steve West. The last group game of Group 1, that could be interesting. The other 2 former title winners, Collie and Hogan, playing the final group game as well. Have the fixtures kind of just fallen quite nicely there for the narratives that people like you and I are sort of putting forward? Yeah,
I was just looking at them and I think, yeah, you've got your 4 weekly winners, you know, the ones with titles all at the tail end. So it could all come down to those matches. Has all the makings of a very climactic, very exciting evening. Yeah, well, you know, I'm not going to let you go without a prediction, Laura. It's a difficult one, I'll give you that, but you are going to have to give me one. Who have you got your eye on tonight? It's tough, but I really like what I was seeing from Bonito yesterday, and I think it'd be a wonderful story and great to have a new name in the winner's circle. So maybe Bonito van der Pas. Certainly would be a story, wouldn't it? If you are going to have a bet, by the way, please do make sure you gamble responsibly and check the rules wherever you are watching from. Right, the opening match is about to get underway, and it is that meeting between Kevin Edwards and Steve West. Henry Deacon is on commentary duty tonight, and he also spoke to Steve earlier on this evening.
Steve, usually you make a habit of making life hard work for yourself, but it's fair to say in that Group A it was anything but.
Yeah. I just came here with the intention, I said to Cheryl at the beginning of the week, I'm just going to go and have fun, enjoy it and relax and try and play, see what happens. And that's what happened.
Is that the key? Because you are one of those players where actually, if you don't think about it and you don't think about the pressures, you can actually bring the best out of yourself.
100%. It's the same for anyone. If you don't think about a game, there's nothing to put you off. Essentially, we all put ourselves off when it goes wrong.
In terms of what you have done this week, what element of your game has pleased you the most?
I think the finishing has been pretty decent, and that's normally a bit of a weak spot. So I think it all sort of kind of rolled into one on the first 3 days, so I'm just hoping it carries on tonight.
Right, let's have this conversation, shall we? Because you're into another finals night. You've got your old adversary, Neil, in there. You two are both prying for the same amount of weekly titles. He hopes that you got burnt out at Bradmore Farm early on today when he spoke to us last night. Are you burnt out from Bradmore Farm earlier? No, not really. Played well last night, lost in the final of the warm-up comp, so was feeling pretty good there. Got straight to bed, woke up early as I normally do and carried on. Not as good today, but I knew I was coming here, so I just took it a bit easy, and now we're here. Just quickly touching aside, is that an ambition for this year, trying to do well on the Tour Championship, maybe get to the Global from it? Yeah, I think so. I was 9th before the start of this weekend, so it was just a case of go up there, see if I can pick up a couple of points, and then come back down here, and back up there tonight, and then start again tomorrow. Could be a very successful weekend. It could be, hopefully. I wish you all the best, Steve. Good luck out there. Cheers, Henry. Thank you.
It's on this time. It's still on.
Game shot on the forward flag.
Side. Gets the double
Shot.
five.
And the Modus Super
Steve
Series.
Steve West! Double 12 for the match and the title. And he's got it. He takes the 84 out.
Simply Steve West!
Here we go then, the action about to get started, and the first match is a game made in Essex between Steve West, who now lives local to the Super Series, and Kevin Edwards. West did have the opportunity to put his feet up, have a couple of days off, and then just head in from around the corner. But as you heard from his interview with Henry there, he decided to go to Bradmore Farm and play in an ADC event. The Winmore Championship Tour earlier today has headed back down to Portsmouth to try and add to his ever-growing Modus Super Series title tally, which currently stands at 5. Can he draw level with Neil Duff, the other player in this group this evening, or will Kevin Edwards here throw a spanner in the works? The 53-year-old who did reach a semi-final when he last made it through to finals night back in Series 2 some 3.5 years ago. He's waiting for this opportunity. Can he grab it with both hands? The man on the mic this evening is going to be a World Championship final referee, Nick Rolls, and calling the action from the commentary box are Laura and Henry.
Cheers, Murph. Very good evening,
Thank you, ladies and
everybody.
gentlemen. First leg, it's Steve
Last
to throw
week,
first.
we saw
Game
Michael
on.
Huntley make it through to Champions Week, and maybe the theme of Series 14 might well be that
60.
experience trumps youth, because the 3 players in this Group 1 are all in excess of 50 years of age. Steve West, Kevin Edwards
100.
and Neil Duff involved in what feels like a headliner group, but the flatliner is the one that might go under the radar. As for Steve West, he is looking
100.
for weekly title number 6 this evening. He won Group A, and he won it at a canter by 10 points on Wednesday afternoon. But Laura Turner, the question is, can he finish the job
60.
off tonight?
Well, only time will tell, Henry. He was very good indeed, very impressive in his Group A campaign. He said by his own admission he is not a strong starter on a Monday morning, but he faced his arch rival in Neil Duff in that first match and just brushed the Duff man aside.
85.
We usually ask the question about players when they win Group A, and Murph mentioned it in the introduction to this game. What does a player do in the 2 days off? Do they lose a bit of
77.
focus, lose a bit of sharpness? Well, Steve West has pretty much been playing darts ever since he won Group A on Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with that
45.
either. Keeps your arm going. You've got all your, you know that the people you're going to face are going to have just more recent experience on the oche. They would have played on the Thursday
83.
and the Friday.
Well, Steve's first to a finish. However, Edwards knows he has an opportunity here to really strike the rest throw, and that 2-treble
125.
turn does
Steve, you
exactly
require
that. And
143.
this 143 has an element of must get about it. He may well get. Double 16 pulled
127.
inside, a 4 left.
Kevin, you require 86.
Smiles from Steve West indicating, yeah, it wasn't that close to the intended target. But it's ball for Edwards.
40.
Well, both
Steve,
players
you
have had an
require
opportunity to
16.
win this opening leg. Steve West gets a second bite at the cherry at double 8. Now moving across a double 4.
Game shot.
And eventually gets up and
Steve
running.
West. Second leg, it's Kevin to throw
Well, he's limpering up.
first. Game on.
Not sure we're going to see a Steve West fitness DVD before too long.
I don't know, I saw some pretty impressive high kicks earlier on in the week.
You watching Richie Burnett again?
No, I wasn't. There was something going on.
Maybe he's rubbed off on everybody as the Prince of Wales.
125.
As for Kev, it's been a very up and down week in terms of performances. If he plays anything like he did towards the tail end of yesterday, he has got every chance of winning the night. However, if he plays like he did at the beginning of Friday, then he may well be heading out rather quickly.
41.
We don't know, and probably he don't know, how he's going to perform tonight. But what we do know is he's hit the first maximum of the evening.
Yeah, he said, didn't he, when he was chatting with us
95.
afterwards, that going into Friday, he did feel really nervous, and especially his second performance, it really was subpar for him, but there was almost 40 points between his lowest and his highest average.
which is ironic for somebody whose nickname is the Flatliner. Should be said, not for darting reasons he has that
134.
nickname. Unfortunately, a few years ago, Kevin had one or two health problems. It was actually his wife that helped him through that, which is hence
47.
the nickname which he has now.
Kevin, you require 32.
He's looking to level this game up.
24.
16s and 8s go
Steve,
begging.
you require 148.
West missed double 16 off the back of the 143 in the previous leg. Is he going to get a dart and a double for the 148? Yes is the answer. And this time he will fight.
In the second leg.
And that
Steve
break
West.
puts Steve West 2-0 to the goods.
And already we're in that territory of
Third leg,
talking
it's Steve
about
to
if you
throw
do lose
first.
the opening match,
Game
you do
on.
not want to lose by a heavy scoreline. West with the darts to extend the lead to 3 legs to 0. Edwards will count himself rather unlucky, rather unfortunate not to have picked up one of the first 2 legs. He had a dart missed in the first, he had 3 missed in leg 2 and punished by that 148.
3 darts missed to square this game up.
100.
How important are they going to be as this match develops?
And when you are in that position, Edwards looked like he was in control. He'd found a maximum. Yes, he'd missed 3 clear at a double. But when your opponent is on a high 3-figure out, you do think 9 times out of 10 you're going to come back. So a warning to everyone in the field. Steve West was talking up his finishing, and he has backed it up here.
81.
Yeah, Steve West in his Group A campaign
57.
managed 5 ton-plus checkouts. There we've just seen number 6.
41.
I think more than anything with Westie's Group A, there wasn't any kind of major high averages. But everything was consistent. He's got the 2nd highest average in the group, just under 90. It was the consistency.
96. Kevin, you require 86.
Which at times he is bemoaned over the course of the last 6 months to a year. Well, double 4. Didn't have to chase the bullseye because Steve was on 178. So he decided to persevere with the treble 20, gave himself another dart. That's the 5th opportunity he's missed to
80.
get himself on the board.
Kevin, you require 8.
And this for an opportunity to break straight back. Double 2.
Game shot and the 3rd leg.
And eventually, Kevin Edwards gets himself off the mark. Break back. Game returns to throw at 2-1.
4th leg, it's Kevin to throw first. Game on.
We speak about it all the time, the volatility that this best of 7 format provides. Steve West looked in control at 2-0 up. Edwards has broken back and now has the darts to level this game up all of a sudden.
$84.
Yeah, you go back to that very first game, which opened up all the week 2 action on Monday morning. It was a meeting between Steve West and Neil Duff. In that match, Steve West pinned the 167, and he said he felt all right up to that point, and then the nerves really did kick in. And I just wonder, after having the 148 and in front of a crowd, whether it's just put Steve West just slightly on edge.
66.
Yeah, because it has gone rather flat ever since. He's done really well to find a way through the post there. Triple 20 targets rather obscure, but still Edwards on throw. Did have a slight lead, but that advantage has been whittled away. And Steve could really attack the Edwards throw and re-establish that 2-leg buffer again.
123.
Well, Steve West is first down to a finish.
100. Steve, you require 134.
Kevin Edwards joins him.
56. Kevin, you require
So
100.
this 4-level game. He was 2-0 down, was Kevin Edwards in this contest.
80.
The 2 opportunities
Steve, you
to
require
send this game to
78.
an effective best of 3 have come and gone. Steve West pinches pocket. Yes is the answer.
Game shot
His
and the
clutch
fourth
finishing in this game
Steve
has
West.
been on point. He's 3-1 up and with the darts to win this game comprehensively.
5th leg, it's Steve to throw first. Game on.
And another leg where Kevin Edwards had darts at the outer ring and couldn't convert. Kevin Edwards,
43.
I think this is one that got away because he is 1 from 10. He's missed 9 at a double, but he's missed in every single leg, barring the one he's picked up.
100.
However, Kevin Edwards isn't going to go down without a fight. Second maxi of the match for Kev.
140.
Good riposte from West.
How difficult is it to open up the show?
100.
It would be my worst nightmare, I'll be honest. I like to let everyone else get on with it, and I can just... If you're a person that likes to go under the radar as well, you know, if you can just nestle in around the
140.
midway point, that's much nicer.
$85.
Kev has left himself on a finish, but Steve will fancy himself to leave himself something handy from this point.
94.
For trouble with the last,
Kevin,
leaving
you
himself on a
require
2-darter.
136.
Should get a dart at least at the ball if he comes back to win this match. And he is going to have a look at this 84 to get his campaign up and running.
100. Steve, you require 84.
14s. It's one dart. It's at the ball.
59.
It's a good effort, but
Kevin,
Edwards in a
require
position
36.
to punish double 18, to bring it back within 1 and to find another
Game
breaker throw.
shot on the 5th leg. Kevin
Edwards now will be looking to hold and force that last leg decider.
And that's the best leg that we've
Sixth leg,
seen in this
it's
game
Kevin
so
to
far.
throw
13
first.
darter.
Game on.
It's been a very strange game. There's been so many peaks and troughs from both players.
I think it goes back to what you're saying. Obviously,
85.
that first game back, we've got the crowd in. And as for Kevin Edwards, it has been a while since he's made it
140.
through to this stage.
Yeah, January 2023, Series 2, Week 11. A week which was won by Matt Clark.
140.
Infamously beat Kevin Painter in the final. A week forever
55.
ingrained in my mind for a match between Matt Clark and Dave Prince. I honestly thought I was never going to leave this place watching that match.
Well, sometimes it feels you probably haven't left this place, Emery. You're here quite a bit.
Well, those patrons very much enjoying their Saturday night here at the Live Lounge. A lot of them here for Steve
42.
West.
Kevin, you require 136.
The players and the people here play alongside Steve. A Wednesday night league in Waterloo. Well, as Edwards looks at double 8 for 1 through 6 to take us all the way.
Kevin Edwards.
These two just keep exchanging blow after blow
Seventh
and
final
moment
leg. It's
after
Steve to
moment.
throw
It was a 1 for 8 for
first.
Steve
Game
West
on.
to go 2-0 up, and that 1-3-6 has taken us the distance.
Kevin Edwards has
60.
really grown into this game. It was a 13 darter. That last leg was 1 in 12 darts.
Yeah, real power
100.
play this. In fact, the last 2 legs, Kevin Edwards is averaging about 125.
60.
13 followed by 12, 25 darts to get himself back level. Not much Steve West, nor many players who play here can do about that. But it just goes to show where he has beaten this week,
100.
because a couple of legs prior to that were a little bit stodgy, to say the least.
Yeah, when he was talking to you earlier on in the week, he said he is that
100.
type of player at the moment that he's never quite sure what he's going to do. He knows how well he can play, but he knows he can drop off. Well, He's playing very well indeed. He's already hit 2 maximums.
118.
Now he's raised that to 3.
Raising the tempo. A shake of the head from Steve West. Because he knew as soon as that second dart hit the single, his opponent had 6 darts to win this contest. A game he had trailed by 3 legs to 1. But he has put on a world-class display over the course of the last 2 and a bit legs
83.
to put himself in a position to win it. And he's going to be on a double after 12 darts, even if the double's double 19.
Well, he's got a decision to make here, hasn't he? He can go straight for it, or he can opt to split, because West is right there, ready to pounce.
13, followed by 12, followed by 13. A world-class comeback from Kevin Edwards from 3-1 behind. He gets the better of the weekly champion 5 times over, Steve West, by 4 legs to 3. And have a look at them numbers. Average of 95.36, 3 180s, and that 136 checkout took us all the way to a decider. Next up, we're going to see Paul Hogan and Bonito van der Pas as Group 2 gets underway.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break we saw Kevin Edwards mount a comeback win against Steve West to edge out the 5-time weekly winner in a last leg decider. So Edwards picking up the opening win of the night. And if you look at the order of play there, it is shaping up very, very nicely indeed for the potential of that Duff versus West game in Group 1 being a shootout to see which one of them goes through, and that race for Super Series supremacy. Group 2 coming up next, and Bonito van der Pas makes his finals night debut where he takes on Paul Hogan. These two met last night and there was a lot on the line, to say the least.
Neil Duff at 161, Bonito van der Pas now looking at 160.
Another to send himself through. Bonito van der Pas is into Saturday night, and he's done it in sumptuous style. What a story this could be. He has played next to no competitive darts for over 3 years. Back at the Live Lounge, and he has qualified for Saturday night at the expense of Simon Stevenson. Well, that was a rip-roar of a finish.
It certainly was, and it was a dramatic victory for Bonito van der Pas, one that meant that Simon Stevenson would not qualify for finals night. Despite missing out, Stevenson has had a good season so far, including a Series 12 Champions Night appearance just a few weeks ago. Well, out but not down, and Henry Deacon caught up with the Mirror Man earlier on in the week.
Simon, fair to say a good last few months for yourself?
Yeah, obviously to get to Champions Week was really, really special, especially my first time here. Really enjoyed it. A lot of people watched back home, which was good, and obviously congratulated me. Not quite the result I wanted on that weekend, but it was good to be there.
What's kind of clicked for yourself in recent times, do you think?
I think just playing a lot locally and playing well locally, consistency.
When you came here on debut, what expectations did you set of yourself?
Perhaps to win 1 or 2 games, really. Just to try and play well and don't look at a place as if you shouldn't be there, really. But I relaxed quite quickly into it and enjoyed it.
What was it about the environment that you kind of settled into quite quickly?
I think it set me back to the days when I was on the tour, really. That quiet environment, playing some really, really good players as well, and having to step up. And it does bring your game up, playing these players. So yeah, that sort of environment.
And the week you were in was a very difficult week. You beat Ben Robb in the final, very good player from New Zealand. What were your memories of that finals night?
Just that last double going in and relief, really. Every game's tough, and it's just trying to get down to that double as quick as you can and take it out.
Is it fair to say when we watched you at Champions Week that you played your best stuff when those top operators were really pushing you?
Definitely. Yeah, it does spur you on. But I just try and say to myself, relax, get that arm going, and do the best you can.
How do you look back at Champions Night a few weeks on?
I just enjoyed it. Yeah, really, really glad to be there. Glad to be invited back, and hope it continues.
So now you've had a taste of it. Is it a case of going again and again?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I want to do as many as I can, really. But it all gives you experience to come to something like this and play well.
Yeah, he came agonisingly close to another finals night, but Simon Stevenson was pipped to the post in Group B by Bonito van der Pas last night. And Bonito returns to the Live Lounge for the first time in 3 years, and he caught up with Henry a little earlier on tonight.
Bonito, great to see you back, and it looked like as the week went on, you're really enjoying it on the big stage again.
Yeah, I really like it again. It's 6th day in a row now, and I'm looking forward for finals night.
How have you found the week as a whole?
I had some good days and some bad days, but I played really a lot of games, and it's good for me. And I think on the end of the week I was playing much better than in the beginning.
So fair to say you found your peak levels last night, in particular that 105 average in there.
Yeah, that was a great game. I think twice against Simon I played really well. I missed the match darts to be earlier in the finals night, but the great 160 helped me a lot.
I was going to say, how good was that 160? Did you know going into that you had to win to go through, and if you lost then you would have been in a sticky situation?
Yeah, I heard they said if I won I was through, but during the game I was not thinking about that. And sometimes a finish is easier than 3 darts on a double. yeah, I was happy the 160 went in.
So into tonight. Now, it's been a little while since we've seen you on the big stage like this. How nice would it be to come back here and then get success here and possibly lift the trophy come the end of the evening?
Yeah, we're going to see what happens. My first goal was Group B, and now I'm in the finals night. So I do my best and give everything, and hopefully I can be at least semi-final, final. We're going to see what happens tonight.
Could be a fairy tale, right?
Hopefully. It's still a fairy tale, and we're still in it.
Right, wish you all the very best. Bonito, good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
He'll have 6 minimum to take the match and secure his spot in Group B. Double 16, and that is that.
Yes, I was looking forward to this, and I know when I have fun and I like it, I'm playing well.
Double 18.
Game shot on the third leg.
Yeah, this is good.
Bonito van der Pas.
To break. Tops once more. Beautiful from Van der Pas. The outcome is inevitable.
Yeah, great to see Big Ben Bonito van der Pas back on the big stage tonight. He does come with some darting pedigree, doesn't he? Won 6 PDC ranking titles in his tour card days. Paul Hogan, his opponent in this one, and he's got plenty of darting pedigree himself. 3 appearances at the World Championship quarterfinals for him. Also beat Gary Anderson and Adrian Lewis at the same UK Open event in 2017, around the time that Bonito van der Pas was at the top of his game as well. Looking for a resurgence then tonight against a man in Hogan who has tasted success a couple of times on the Super Series stage. Let's see which way this one goes in the company of Laura Turner and Henry Deacon.
Cheers, Murph. And if it's anything like the meeting these two had towards the end of Friday night session, we are in for a real treat. Well, Paul Hogan seemingly last night was a victim of his own success on Thursday. We won all 4 matches and played superbly, with the exception of maybe the game against Bonito van der Pas, which was at the beginning of both players' campaigns. That was a little bit nervy. But yesterday, everybody took their frustration out on Crocodile Dundee. Neil Duff with that 1-6-1 finish to turn the tide of that particular contest. Van der Pas with the 160. Everybody saved their best darts for Paul Hogan. However, what Hogan will be hoping is
55.
That happened on Friday. This is a different night. This is the money night.
But it was pretty much everyone in the chasing pack, wasn't it? That they got to a point where they really needed that win, and it happened to be Paul Hogan who stepped up to the oche. He did not take his foot off the gas at all, and it took big moments for both Neil Duff and Bonito van der Pas. We've already seen that 160 finish he had to beat Paul Hogan and secure a spot. So there really were some big moments.
140.
It's been a really good week here. If it's the first time that you tuned into week 2, you've missed an absolute treat. Thursday and Friday, particularly in Group B, really did dazzle and entertain. And Bonito van der Pas has been some story. We haven't seen him on the big stage for give or take 3 years when he played here previously.
100.
Took a bit of time away. A dad now. Back to the full-time 9 to 5. Very much enjoying that. And just rekindling the love for the sport again. Doesn't want it to be more than a hobby right now, but is enjoying plying his trade amongst the best at this level once
Bonito,
more.
you require 170.
Moved across the oche, needs another one, and there, finds it. Ball required for the big fish.
145.
Oh, he scared it.
Paul,
if that went, it would have meant the last 2 legs Bonito van der Pas has won would have been against Paul Hogan with a 160 and a 170. But Crocodile Dundee looking at old faithful double 18.
30.
Bends the wire. Both players have had
Bonito,
a dart to win this opening leg. Van der Pas will get another chance to find a breaker throw he needs to get if he's going to win this game. And he gets it
shot and the first
at the very start of the contest.
Bonito van der Pas.
And we noted yesterday evening, especially, Bonito van der Pas just started playing just fractionally, and it really was fractionally quicker. And it was about this kind of pace that we saw him produce, that mammoth 105 average. I think he's really now just finding his feet, finding his range, getting that confidence. When you start winning and you're winning well, it does
60.
breed that type of confidence up on the oche.
Is that the difference, do you feel? Now he's had a few days. Has he found a rhythm which, when you're playing little bits here and
65.
there, after a long layoff, which he has had over the last few years, you can't really find?
He's been in 2 really tough groups. He's been in Group A, and he said to you the target at the start was to make it up into Group B. Well, he did that by finishing second in the group. And then that fairy tale, as you mentioned, just keeps on continuing. But he's played top players. He's been tested. And I would say yesterday, more than anything else, he was tested and came through the right side of results. If that happened on Monday and not yesterday, I don't know whether he would have felt quite so comfortable. But because it was so recent, he just seems to be able to carry it on.
140.
We speak so often, don't we, about peaking at the right time. And maybe Bonito van der Pas is doing exactly that. And maybe he is finding Paul Hogan's
81.
number somewhat.
Bonito,
He's had a lot of
you require
heartbreak by the hands of
96.
Crocodile Dundee. We'll go into that in the next leg as he looks at 96 here to double his lead to 2-0. He's looking at double 18
56.
to leave double top. Will return for that target when he comes back.
Yeah, it was a tentative effort, wasn't it? Because he knows if he goes inside, he's got a dart that he can set up on, and there's no
63.
response coming from
Bonito,
Paul Hogan.
you require 40.
Well, this to double his leg tally.
Game shot and the
This
second
is
leg.
good stuff
Bonito
from
van der
Bonito
Pas.
van der Pas.
Third leg, it's Paul to throw first.
As I mentioned,
Game on.
Bonito's had his fair share of pain against Paul Hogan over the years, most notably, unsurprisingly,
81.
at the UK Open. During the period where Paul Hogan really did become the professional amateur. A couple of times they've met at that competition when the tournament moved to Minehead in 2014 and 2015 respectively.
59.
And on both occasions, Paul Hogan won.
Yeah, I can't think that there has been an individual that has gone through the
45.
qualification process for the UK Open more times than Paul Hogan has. But it wasn't always just the UK Open. I know that he'd qualified for the World Championships for the Lakeside
140.
through qualifiers as well.
In short, he has a lifetime subscription to Riley Sports Bars. But he's never been
41.
one that's travelled the circuit here, there and everywhere. He's been able to maximise a career out of going to the minimum amount of events possible. And what I mean by that is he'll go to qualifiers,
70.
win qualified, get on the big stage. As you mentioned, so many times he did it at the Lakeside. I think it was only once or twice did he actually get to the BDO World Championship through his position on an order of merit.
135.
We've got some late stragglers coming in. Need to buy them a clock.
51.
Well, that slip from Van der Pas has just afforded Paul Hogan 6 darts from this position.
99.
Evens it up for a straight turn when he returns.
96. Paul, you require 100.
Well, those publicans might be late to the party. Paul Hogan late to the party.
80.
And you may not get any kind of invitation
Bonito,
at all in
you
this
require
game.
85.
Van der Pas looking at 85 for the double break and a 3-0 lead. Bullseye.
60. Paul, you
Second
require
time
20.
this match, Van der Pas hasn't been able to locate the ball. And that clearly felt good as it left the hand of Paul Hogan, but has to reset.
Game shot.
He
and the
does
third
find
leg.
double 5.
Paul Hogan.
Back to 2-1, back in the contest. But we saw in the previous game
Fourth leg,
Steve
it's
West
Bonito
have
to
a
throw
2-0
first.
lead
Game
against
on.
Kevin Edwards, and Ed was able to come back 4-3. Now, the one thing Kev had to his aid, because of the fact that he was against the throws, when he did break, he was
41.
able to level things up by holding the darts. But Hogan there for routine hold means that if he needs to get him, or if he wants to get himself back on level terms, shall I say, he needs to break Bonito in
60.
this leg.
Yeah, it's not the ideal scenario when you've got the opportunity to throw first.
83.
But you look at Paul Hogan's Group B campaign, and actually, out of everyone here tonight, he is the only player that has consistently, well, averaged for the whole group over 90.
41.
Has had an average in excess of 100 as well. Big finishes, but just hasn't seemed to have hit Saturday night running
57.
at all. And there you see him at the back of the stage, shaking the head, not happy with how he's playing at the moment.
It feels like the Paul Hogan currently on the stage right now is the one
41.
that played the character Crocodile Dundee, as opposed to the one that we know is a very successful dart player.
135.
That's a better first start for Paul Hogan.
135.
But from this position, you feel Van der Pas very much in control.
58.
Well, the 1-2-7 to put himself within a leg of winning the game.
58.
It's not been his best performance, Bonito Van der Pas, but so
127.
far it has been good enough. And he doesn't have to chase the bullseye here if he doesn't want to. Doesn't have to entertain it, and he's not going
95.
to. Hogan all the way back on 166.
Yeah, it was an uncharacteristic slip with the last, which fell into the 18, which meant Paul Hogan did not leave a finish.
41. Bonito, you
Paul
require 32.
seemingly at a loss to
Game
what's
shot
happening
on the fourth leg.
at the minute.
Bonito
but
Van der Pas.
has not distracted Bonito Van der Pas from the task in hand.
Fifth leg, it's Paul to throw first.
He is a picture of
Game
focus, Bonito Van der Pas was. That man in your picture, Paul Hogan, looks very much at one with himself. And I just wonder in this particular situation with Bonito, he mentioned the fact that he hasn't been
60.
playing at this level for a long while. But when you get into situations like this, do you sometimes feel as if, do you know what? No matter how much time I've had away, it feels like I've never
96.
been away.
Well, he's got the pedigree, hasn't he? You don't make it into the top 16 of the PDC World Rankings without that level of class. And yeah, he's got experience that he can draw upon. It's just the match sharpness and
66.
how you feel on the oche. But I did find it interesting that with regards to Van der Pas, some of his best games came against players that he had played whilst he was on the PDC circuit. Paul Hogan being one, as you mentioned, played at the UK Open. The other player being Simon Stevenson, and had very good games against both those players. Might just set you back into that distant memory where things just felt good.
What's that saying? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't?
As long as you don't break out into the song, we're happy.
At the minute, it turns out the devil's wearing Prada.
Well,
is Bonito Van der Pas going to pop the first cork of the night? Looking for a champagne finish to the contest, but the treble 19 isn't going to get
68.
got.
Good effort. My favourite finish of them all, but Hoagie, well, he may have needed that 152. Couldn't get the combination started.
25.
And can't follow anything up.
Bonito, you require 64.
And so this, to wrap up, what has been a comprehensive display. It's not been Bonito
Game
Van der Pas
shot.
at his best, but he
And
hasn't
the
had
match.
to be.
Bonito Van
Well, that
der
was a
Pas.
14 dart to round things off, and that is a 4-1 win. And for the second night in succession, Bonito Van der Pas gets the better of Paul Hogan, and he puts himself in a very good position now to qualify through to the semi-finals. That's the tale of the tape. A subpar performance from Paul Hogan. He's got work to do. Coming up next, we're going to see Kevin Edwards in action against the 6-time weekly winner, Neil Duff.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break, Big Ben struck, and he did it against the same man he produced that blockbuster finish against last night. Paul Hogan going down to Bonito van der Pas 4-1 in the first game of Group 2. Earlier tonight, Kevin Edwards got the better of Steve West in Group 1. He can now secure a qualification if he can beat another live lounge legend in Neil Duff. They're about to go head-to-head, and Henry Deacon has had a chat with both men.
Okay, great to see you back here at the Super Series. How much looking forward to the next couple of days?
I'm very much looking forward to it, yeah. I'm playing okay, the form's good. Looking forward to a good couple of days.
For yourself, is this the one tournament you look forward to in the year?
Definitely, yeah. It's nice to get back invited. You always wonder whether you will do, whether you put on a performance beforehand. But yeah, it was nice to get the call and really looking forward to it.
Make sure the form's good. How have the darts been recently?
They've been good, yeah. Like I say, a couple of weeks ago I was out in Benidorm. I picked up a few titles there. Really well run tournament. Been doing a lot of ADC vaults. The results have been going my way, so yeah, feeling good.
Neil, you never do it the easy way here, and it's fair to say that you had to scrap to get out of Group B last night.
Yeah, I never do it easy. I just always try and make things as hard as possible for myself. And I had a few text messages from my mum and Dominica, just putting them through the absolute ringers, like so. Yeah, but it's not how you get here; it's getting here, and I'm here, and hopefully we see a just different beast tonight.
What is it about you when your back's against the wall that seemingly brings the best out of yourself?
You just don't know when I'm beat. I'm too ignorant to know when I'm beat. So, yeah, the game against Paul Hogan last night was massive. The 161 was probably the best 161 that I've ever hit. Kept me in it. I'd say probably, if I'd have missed that there, I was out. So, yeah, but we corn it all the time. Winners find a way to win. And, yeah, I just had to dig deep. And the last game then with Carl, I just seen it through.
Into another Saturday night, when you look at the calibre of the field and in terms of what they won, how difficult a Saturday is this in comparison to some of the others that you've had here?
Not one of them has won more than me. And that's the way I look at it. I'm not being ignorant or disrespectful to any of the players, but none of them have won more. I won down here, so I let them chase me instead of me chasing them.
7 sounds better than 6, right?
Yeah, but maybe by this time next year, but 10. I want 10. 10's my. We did the interview last night, and I went home and I was kind of thinking about it and going, 10 would be beautiful, just 10, and I could probably then just retire. I'll be happy that I've left that here. So yeah, but you'll never come to Modus and never not have a tough group. Tonight's going to be just as tough as the rest. Plenty of experience up on that stage tonight with myself and Kev and Steve. But we'll give it as our all, and may the best man win.
Right, wish you the best. Go on, Neil.
Cheers, my friend. Thank you.
We'll get a match start at the ball, and there it is! Neil Duff!
Neil Duff!
It's 6 of the best, ladies and gentlemen, for a record-breaking 6th weekly title, a 7-time champion of the Super Series, the Duff Man, Neil Duff!
Yeah, once again, Neil Duff at the Live Lounge, bidding for another weekly title. The most decorated player in this building is the Duffman. 6 weekly wins, 7 titles overall. And he begins his campaign tonight with a meeting with Kevin Edwards, who got that 4-3 win over Steve West, the man with the second most titles, and really threw a spanner in the works in this group. He takes on Neil Duff, the former WDF World Champion. And this is already a big game for the pair of them. I told you that by the time we got to game 3, we'd have some permutations, and here they are. Kevin Edwards will qualify for the semi-finals if he gets a win in this match, and Duff and West will play each other in an effective knockout game for the second spot. Neil Duff can qualify if he wins 4-0 or 4-1. If he wins 4-2 or 4-3, then it will still go down to that final game between him and Steve West, but Kevin Edwards would of course also be in jeopardy. Talking you through it then, I'll hand you back to Henry and Laura.
Yeah, cheers Murph. Game 3. And if Kevin Edwards can find a spell like he did towards the end of his first match against Steve West, then Neil Duff has got some problems. But what Neil did find last night was an ability
First leg,
to pull something out the fire when his back was firmly against the wall. Because there was a period during the midway point of Friday night where he thought the most successful man in this building was going to be eliminated.
100.
But he then pulled in big performances back-to-back, aided and abetted with that 1-6-1 against Paul Hogan, and then he won that winner-takes-all game with Carl Wilkinson right at the very end of the programme. But Kevin Edwards, once he got going, Laura, put in some good stuff. 13, 12, 13 from 3-1 down to get the better of Westy in the opener.
60.
Yeah, it just took a leg or so, didn't he, to get into the match. But as you say, once he gets going, he is very difficult to beat. And he had quite a reasonable day on Thursday, picking out, I think he just dropped the solitary win, did Kevin Edwards, in Group C. And that was his very first match. But ultimately, once he knew he qualified, we really did start to see the best from him, and we are seeing a continuation of that. A bit like Bonito van der Pas in his opening match, we're seeing that form continue into tonight.
161.
Well, we did see signs of this towards the end of yesterday's play from Kevin Edwards. It took a couple of legs to get going, as you mentioned, against Steve West. But it feels 65. Like once he does find that level, he is able to maintain it. And maybe this is also part of the advantage of playing first and third. Now he has got himself into a rhythm, into a flow. He hasn't had much time for that to be interrupted.
Kevin, you require 96.
Yeah, it can go one of two ways, can't it? Because if you lose that opener, you don't have a lot of time to kind of just reset.
$60. Neil, you require 138.
Duff on a long-range finish. Double 12 for a 138 and a breaker throw.
114. Kevin, you require
another
36.
Big ton topper in this group. Steve West had the 148, Kevin Edwards the 136 in there, meeting game 1. Duff missing the double 12 for the 138 and punished to the hill. Edwards finding the double 18 to lead by a leg to nil.
Second leg, it's Neil to throw first. Game on.
For Kev, the situation's rather simplistic. Win and he's in. And I'm not sure there's many people who would have thought at the beginning of the night that Game 5 between Neil Duff and Steve West would subsequently be eliminated to see who would go out at the first hurdle tonight.
Although, arguably, if they weren't to meet in the final, it does feel quite fitting that it will be each other that have the potential to knock the other out.
Wesley Plazier, a man who's been here a couple of times and was never able to win a week here, which when you consider at a time in 2023, 2024, he was probably the best player without a tour card.
140.
That came as a big shock.
Yeah, he was WDF World #1. He won the World Masters. As you say, everyone comes here with an expectation, but these weeks are not easy to win.
125. Nearly require 161.
Yeah, he won an incredible Group A where he needed to win, was 3-2 down against Cam Crabtree.
137.
It's a 1-4-5 finish and then a 10 darter to win 4-3. Duff here leaving double 12 after 12 to square this contest up at 1-1.
100.
He missed double 12
Nearly
on the back of a
24.
138 combination finish. Last start in hand. Bit of a reset for Duff, and that's the outcome.
And the second leg, Neil Duff.
Sweaty palms, no problem. We are back on level
Third
terms.
leg, it's Kevin to throw first.
Just a reminder that if Neil Duff is to automatically qualify through this game, he has to win all the remaining legs, because the only way he can go through is courtesy of a 4-0 and 4-1 success. Any other win, he would still have work to do against Steve West in match 5.
80.
Edwards back hitting maximums, had 3 in that win over Steve West, has already got 2 in this match against
45.
Duff. I do think he's a player, isn't he, Kevin Edwards, that kind of likes going under the radar. He has found himself in a group where between the two of his opponents, they've got 11 titles. He hasn't got any, and he hasn't been in this position for a good few years. So I guess you can play maybe with an air of freedom.
85.
Because the expectation is on the other two to progress, and perhaps not Edwards, but already proving any doubters wrong.
Well, if you fancy yourself, but you don't want other people to talk about you, being in a group with Neil Duff and Steve West might well be the perfect storm.
125.
Because naturally, when these two play here, and particularly if they play in the same week, as they seemingly do, particularly at specials weeks, the attention
97.
usually draws towards them because of previous form and previous successes in this building.
Yeah, and they are two players that actually don't mind talking up their own game, aren't they? You don't see it from a lot. You have, as you say, the ones that like to go under the radar
85.
and have their kind of
Kevin, you
set
require
answers. We'll see how
94.
things go. Whereas, especially with Neil Duff, he is quite happy to say, no, I'm going out there and I want to win everything.
78.
Well, Kevin Evans is going to win this
Neil,
leg.
you require 100.
And if he did win that leg, it would have meant that Neil Duff would have had work to do irrespective in game 5. Double top for another ton topper.
Game shot and the third leg.
When his back's been against the wall this week, he has found some diamonds as Neil Duff, and that is another one there.
Fourth leg, it's Neil to throw
Yeah,
first.
it's a breaker throw,
Game on.
courtesy of that 111 finish. But let's not forget Kev Edwards. He was in this position against Steve West in his opener.
140.
Well, you mentioned how some players will play things down. Well, Neil Duff said in the interview earlier on tonight that he wants to win 10 of these and then retire.
140.
He won't retire. He'll just change the target.
20. You see it that often that Portsmouth City Council wanted to pay council tax.
I like the ambition that Neil Duff said when he comes back this
45.
time next year. He's hoping for 10. So I think that gives you an idea of how he feels when he walks through the live lounge doors.
Well, that means you need to win this week for 8. The Champions League would be 9. And then his next series would be 10. So effectively, he'd have to be nigh on perfect for the remainder of the season to get to that target in 2026.
Well, there lies the goal.
123.
And very little to split these two, but Neil Duff will be first down to a finish when he returns, but that won't help.
And if you remember rightly, that was a feature towards the beginning of last night's play for Neil Duff. 1 or 2 darts being rejected from the board. How much damage is it going to do to him in this particular leg?
He did say to us after, didn't he, that he thought at points the darting gods were conspiring against him because of the bounce outs, but also because the fact that his opponents were playing very well against him.
Well, we are in a church.
100. Kevin, you require 150.
And in this goes, it might feel like the darting gods are against him again. Stays there, double 15.
120.
Gave that every chance.
Nearly require 40.
But in these situations, a miss is as good as a mile.
Game shot.
And just like in his first game, Kevin Edwards finds himself 3-1 behind. He managed to turn it around against Steve West.
Kevin to throw first. Game on.
However, you can't constantly go to the well and then expect to come out the other side.
Yeah, from this position in his opening match,
55.
Kev Edwards found legs of 12, 13 and 13 in order to get past Steve West.
And just a reminder, Neil Duff wins this
30.
leg. He has qualified for the semi-finals. 4-0, 4-1 is good enough for the former Lakeside champion.
Would feel rather un-Duff-like for him to do it with a game
41.
to spare.
Yeah, it's a bit boring, actually, if you think of it that way.
Well, this match far from over.
99.
But what it would also mean is, yes, he'd be through, but he could also eliminate Steve West in the next game. So he could actually do a lot of damage for himself over the course of the next 40, 45 minutes or so.
41.
Well, the high level of play and the exploits in the opening match by Kevin Edwards, he's not able to replicate. And Duff
140.
is punishing.
$81.
6 darts from here to send himself into the semi-finals once more.
121.
He has been so good in these sorts of situations. And look what he's left again. He took out the 111 earlier on in this contest. And he's got that finish again to finish the job off.
60. Neil, you
Yeah.
require 111.
And unlike last time he was looking at this, he has time on his side.
There is nothing sweeter than a repeater.
Shot. And the match, Neil Duff.
6-time weekly winner Neil Duff is into the semi-finals. He is wanting 7 heaven here under the church roof at the Live Lounge, and he is 2 wins away from the semi-finals onwards to do exactly that. For Kevin Edwards, he had opportunities to make the game much tighter than what it was, but Neil Duff, with an average of just over 96.5, 50% on his doubles and 2 111 finishes, wins by 4 legs to 1.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break we saw Neil Duff do exactly what he needed to do, taking out some sweet checkouts in a victory against Kevin Edwards, and in doing so securing his semi-final spot. On that side, if you didn't catch it quickly, it was a well done to Trina Gulliver, who won the first WADC Winmore Championship Tour event of the year to date. Congratulations to our colleague, the Golden Girl, and congratulations to Neil Duff, the first player through to the semi-finals of week 2 of Series 14. Bonito van der Pas hoping to follow suit in the next game. He takes on Reese Collie.
Get your fishing rods. Get your fishing rods. And reel in the big fish!
On the 5th leg. Reese
And boy,
Collie.
did he need it.
116 after a dozen darts. Needs a treble 20. This will get him going. Double 18. Yes. 116. Polished off like it's no problem at all.
So it's treble 20 for double top. So it's double top for a 145.
Game shot on the 5th leg. Game shot on the 5th
Finds
leg.
tops.
Reese Collie.
Yeah, Collie looking to cause chaos tonight. He's got a few fans in to cheer him on, as well as he always does. Has had some success here at the Super Series before. Also a winner on the PDC Development Tours, won the British Open, the England Masters, World Open, and the Isle of Man Masters. That was this year. Also a previous Modus Super Series winner as well. Collie taking on Bonito van der Pas, who got off to a very good start earlier this evening. The Dutchman, 33 years of age now, making his second appearance 3 years after his first, and at his first finals night, hoping to take a step into the semi-finals here. Reese Collie already won on that stage. That was back in Series 6, and the pair of them will know what they need to do. Bonito van der Pas has plenty of insurance here, just needs 2 legs to secure his place in the semi-finals. As for Reese Collie, if he can manage to win 4-0 here, he will qualify. A Van der Pas win means that Collie versus Hogan will be a straight shootout for qualification in the closing game of the group. Back to the comms team then to talk you through this one.
Cheers, Murph. And one thing that shouldn't be underestimated tonight is Reese Collie's ability to win tournaments.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg.
The last
it's
couple of
Bonito
years, he has been prolific on the WDF circuit. And whilst he might be 5-1, 4 favourites of the 6 to pick up the trophy this evening, that ability to cross the finishing line shouldn't be understated. He takes up Bonito van der Pas, who already this evening has found himself in the winner's enclosure 4-1 against Paul Hogan. Now, it wasn't Big Ben at his absolute best, but he didn't have to be. It was a subpar performance from Crocodile Dundee. He's off the mark. As for Reese Collie, he played some of the best stuff we've seen from him in this building for a long time in Group C.
Yeah, he really did, didn't he? And he has said, after picking up that title in the Isle of Man, he did come back to the Super Series, didn't play well, was worried. There was a lot of lateral drift into the 5 segments, so has gone away. He has changed his darts. This week is the first outing in a tournament for said darts as well. But he's also been playing at ADC, trying up the vaults, playing more regularly. And I really do think it's paid dividends because he was by far the best performer in Group C.
And inspiration when it comes to equipment can come in different ways. So Reese Collie has just used a setter that his brother told him to throw over in the garage. For Bonito van der Pas, this set of Jim McEwen darts was the only one he had in the house when he decided to have a chuck again.
101.
And quite honestly, they have been performing very well for their respective players.
Bonito, you require 158.
I hope Jim's going to take royalties if Bonito goes and wins
70.
tonight.
Reach, you require 100.
Yeah, especially because I think they were gifted to him. Another one in there for a 2 double check
Game
out.
shot on the first
Manages to
leg.
sneak it
Reese
over
Collie.
the top. It's a ton finish for Reese Collie.
Well, he managed to find a real small pocket to
Second
the
leg,
top
it's Reese to
corner
throw
of that
first.
target.
Game on.
Now, he has taken out a ton this week. He's done so for a second time. He's up and running with a ton plus checkout and a breaker throw to boot.
57.
And I do wonder how aware Bonito van der Pas will be, knowing that if he just gets a couple of legs, then
131.
he will be going through to the semi-finals. I know when you spoke to him, he said he found himself in a similar position where he had to win a match
92.
in his Group B campaign, but ultimately he wasn't thinking about that. And I think that's impressive that you can switch off to what's going on around you and just focus on the win.
125.
And when he was at the top end of the sport and he was in the top 16 of the PDC Order of Merit, it was those attributes that everyone was talking about when it came to Bonito. His coolness, his calmness, his laser-like focus. He's not someone that you'd see go do showman-like things, do flashy things. He was just a very efficient performer. Well, that 111's back on offer again.
85. Bonito, you require 111.
Might be the third time this is taken out in the space
95.
of 20 minutes, but the double 16
Reese, you
just
require
moves on the inside.
142.
It was a different route and a different outcome for Van der Pas, but he gets another chance to level things up.
27.
Would be a break straight
Bonito,
back
you require 16.
for the Dutchman.
And so Van der Pas returning for 2-8s to level this game back up and to get the break back which he lost in the opener. But that is awkward.
No score. Reese, you require 115.
He's already taken out the ton. The 115 is on. It's back at the top of the board.
95.
But this time falls short.
Bonito, you require
I
16.
told you with the reaction there that just got pulled low somewhat.
8.
However, Van der Pas has spurned
Reese, you require
7
20.
opportunities now at the outer ring in this contest.
Game shot.
And he is punished.
Reese Collie.
Van der Pas giving up a real golden opportunity to break straight back and level things up.
Third leg, it's Bonito to throw first. Game on.
Well, Bonito really is eager to get back up on the oki.
In fairness, it doesn't matter whether you've not played
140.
for 3 years or you play every week. Everybody gets found out with that 10-second stop gap between legs.
Yeah, for people that don't know, or for those players that come here that haven't played it
28.
before, there is a very slight break, isn't there, in between each leg. And if, as we're starting to see, Bonito is just really starting to get into that rhythm, you switch off to
43.
those kind of things and you just want to get on with it.
Things like that can be demonstrative of two things. Either you're so
100.
focused you forget what's happening, or you've got no focus whatsoever. You've completely lost sight of what's happening around you.
Yeah, I'd say with Van der Pas, because it's just part of the rhythm,
27.
part of the routine. He doesn't hang around when he's going up to the oki. Would have just been the natural process he would have taken if the 10-second delay wasn't required.
100.
The big ambition for Bonito is to go back to Q school at the beginning of 2027. And experiences like this, he hopes, is going to sharpen him up when he goes to Calco in January.
Well, he was saying to you, wasn't he, that he still feels like he's got
59.
unfinished business with the
Bonito,
PDC. He
you
wants to
require
get into a world
154.
championship.
6 on the 154 to get himself off the mark in this game. Has had a
86.
plethora of opportunities to get himself in the contest. 7 missed darts at a double across the first 2 legs. And he's going to get at least one more
Bonito, you
here
require 68.
to reduce the gap, providing he stays straight, of course.
Tops.
28. Reese, you
Start
require
number 8 missed at the outer
114.
ring for Bonito van der Pas, and Reese Collie looking to pounce once again.
And the problem is, in finishing range, Reese Collie is looking very likely. That's the problem Bonito has.
98. Bonito, you require 40.
Well, he couldn't convert the 114, but sets up beautifully. This has to go for van der Pas. 1 dart in hand.
Game shot and the third
Manages
leg.
to
Bonito van
find
der
double
Pas.
10. Chalks up a leg.
Back to 2-1.
Fourth
Collie,
leg,
who got
it's
the
Reese to
break in
throw
the opening
first.
leg, needs to
Game
cash
on.
that in right here.
Yeah, for Van der Pas now, that means the only way he can be eliminated
55.
because he beat Paul Hogan 4-1 is via a 9-dart shootout. One more leg and he will be safely through to the semis.
It's been a while since we've seen one of them.
45.
October, the last time. Is it week 5 of Series 12, the last 9-dart shootout?
100.
I feel like I was here.
Ah, it was the first week of the previous series, Series 13.
97. $96.
However, Bonito will not want to go through. In football, they call a
60.
penalty shootout a lottery, don't they? A 9-dart shootout feels like the darting equivalent of that.
Yeah, whenever you say 9-dart shootout to me, the only one that
60.
lives in the back of my mind for all the right reasons is the one from the international pairs where Scott Campbell for Scotland, he had 6 darts and he threw every single one to perfection. 2 180s hit from him in a 9-dart shootout.
Genuinely, I think that is the best night we've ever had under this roof.
Bonito, you require 160.
Is this going to be brilliant for Van der Pas? He had a 160 to send himself through against Paul Hogan last night. He's not going to do something similar here.
60.
And so Collie returning for 52 to put himself 3-1 up.
Game shot and the fourth.
One away from
Reese
winning his
Collie.
opening match of the night.
Goes back to what you were saying, that when Reese Collie has a chance at the outer ring, he has been
leg, it's
really
Bonito
good indeed.
to
He's
throw
3 from
first.
5,
Game
60%,
on.
including that ton checkout.
And this is where sometimes
125.
looking at stats can be quite deceptive, because if you look at the averages, it's 77 and 81. But watching it with the naked eye, it's been a much better
140.
match than that.
I think when players both play at pace, there's no hanging around, then even if, like you say, the performance isn't quite up there, it's not 100 average, etc., it's just so watchable.
44.
Because there's enough good stuff that is coming so quickly that you forget about the subpar stuff.
100.
You could have fitted that into a polo mix. And this is to send Bonito Van der Pas through. 96 left
90.
after 9.
Bonito, you require
He
96.
could get this leg wrapped up in 4 visits. This would be some way to qualify himself into the
shot in the fifth
semi-finals.
leg.
It's an 11-darter for Bonito Van der Pas. Big Ben is into the final 4.
6th leg, it's Reese to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, and a big reaction from Van der Pas at the end. I was questioning whether he knew. Now, that is either a celebration
140.
because he has hit an 11-darter, but I think that is one that is all-knowing that he is in the semis, and now he could start playing with that bit of freedom.
Which could be bad news for Reese Collie, because if he is playing with freedom and the arm flows
60.
as a result, Chaos could be in trouble.
Yeah, Bonito does find a way to get past Collie. It would
60.
be a straight shootout in the last match between Collie and Hogan. And I guess if you pull Hogan in the back, then
58.
really that is the best scenario.
It's the easiest scenario. Win, you in, you lose, you go home. Can't be any simpler than that. Because I can imagine as a player, the last thing you want to think
77.
about is certain scorelines. I have to win this amount of legs, so I've got to win by this score.
Well, how many times have we seen it from players that, yes, they know
45.
it could even just be a solitary leg that they need, and the focus is on that and not winning the match, and they come unstuck.
34. $96.
It's okay, but Van der Pas can put the boot in.
$129.
A near
Reese,
perfect
you
visit
require
for Van der Pas.
102.
All the pressure now on the 102 for Reese Collie.
It's unable to get
68, mate, yeah.
Van der Pas is through, but what he can
94. Bonito,
is
you require
enforce
61.
effectively a quarter-final tonight if he can turn this match around. to take us all the way. Double 16.
29.
Dart come
Reese,
and
you
gone to
require
level things
8.
up, and it's over to Collie.
Six.
3 darts
Bonito,
to
you
win the
require
match.
32.
Reese Collie could be in a bit of trouble.
This is awkward. That flight was in the way of dart 1, and now he's got next to nothing to see.
24.
Nearly nestled away through, but this to wrap it up for Reese Collie.
Require 2. No score.
How often do we
Bonito, you
see it?
require
That
8.
last dart to get across the winning line sometimes proves to be the most
Game
difficult, and we
shot
do
on the
go
sixth
the
leg.
way. Bonito
Bonito
van der
van der
Pas
Pas.
levels things up at 3 apiece.
7th
Reese
and
Collie
final leg. It's Bonito to throw first.
has had a
Game
handful
on.
of opportunities to get this game won. Is he going to look back and rue that?
You look at that.
85.
We talked about the checkouts earlier. He's 3 from 9, but 4 of those misses have come to win the match.
100.
He's not missed much, but he's missed the ones that's mattered the most.
97. $85. 139.
Very good visit. And now Reese Collie's back is against the wall. Needs a max to leave a finish.
Yeah, and it was the perfect first start, and that was what Reese was
85.
doing so well in the group stages. Finds the first start and manages to follow it up, but it's Van der Pas that's doing that here.
140.
Had to be careful of the catch there, but does well to aim it high. And now aiming at tops to make it back-to-back wins and
85.
serene progression
Bonito,
through
you require
to
40.
the semi-finals.
And now it's Van der Pas's
Reese, you require
time to miss starts to
146.
claim a victory.
Another one of them. Unable to get, and so Van der Pas is going to get more match darts.
86. Bonito, you require 10.
2 5s to get it wrapped up.
Game.
2
shot.
5s fouled.
And the match.
And it's
Bonito
back-to-back
van der
win to
Pas.
Big Ben. And it means that game 6 between Reese Collie and Paul Hogan is going to be a straight shootout to see who is going to be the last of the 4 to make it into the semi-finals. It's back-to-back wins for Big Ben. He hasn't had to play at his best, but he is in to the semi-finals. Next up, Neil Duff up against Steve West. Let's hear from both now.
Yeah, it's always nice, but like the rivalry, like you say, it's not a rivalry, it's a friendship. But when you play up there, you want to rip his head off, and he wants to rip mine off.
But people don't see what goes on in the background, how good friends we are. I used his darts, come out and beat him 4-0, and then I actually got a bit of abuse on social media about how arrogance and that. But we were actually, it was a light in the mood, and it was made a jokey. So yeah, we're like any player, you'll be their rival when you step onto that stage, but you can be best friends off it, and thankfully...
Every time he's down, even if I'm not in the week or whatever, we always have a coffee or meet up and have something to eat or drink or whatever. It's nice.
Dutch delight here at the Modus Super Series as Bonito van der Pas has made it through to the semi-finals. A first finals night, a first semi-final for Bonito after that victory over Reese Collie before the break. That one in a last leg decider. Earlier on he'd beaten Paul Hogan, which means that Collie and Hogan will battle it out in the last group game to see which one of those go through. But the next match, Neil Duff and Steve West. This is a game that has history. The two most decorated players here at the Modus Super Series. Neil Duff is the man with the most titles here. Steve West must beat the man in front of him just to stay alive in the tournament. Duff's already there. Kevin Edwards is waiting and hoping for Neil Duff to do a job on Steve West here. If West wins, he's out, and Duff and West both go through.
Bullseye.
Well, that's more bingo, but in a nice way. For the bull again. Oh, special.
It's been a very productive night's work, and he could finish it off with a 1-2-1 checkout in second of the contest. Double two. Steve West. Is Steve West!
For me, it's all about legacy. Yeah. Number 6, Steve West, where he is.
Yeah, 6 weekly wins for Neil Duff, the most decorated player here at the Live Lounge. 7 titles overall. Steve West, second behind him with 6 titles and 5 weekly wins. But West now needs to beat Duff if he is to go through. Well, a record breaker in the commentary box as well. Most appearances in it, I'm pretty certain, goes to Henry Deacon. He is alongside Laura Turner to talk you through this clash of Live Lounge legends.
So much so, I think I'm a couple of appearances away from a testimonial. But welcome along to another edition of the Super Series El Clasico. Neil Duff and Steve West. Between them, they have 11 weekly wins. Add in their double trouble triumphs.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
13
first
trophies that the pair have collected in this building. Without any shadow of a doubt, the two best players to have participated in this tournament that haven't won a Champions Week. But for Steve West, if he's going to make it through to another one, he has to win this game. Kevin Edwards is a Neil Duff fan, because that is the only way that he can progress through to the Final Four. Having beaten Steve West in the opening game, Neil Duff got the better of Kevin by 4-1, and that scoreline good enough to send him into the semis. As for Steve, he led that game 2-0 and 3-1 and let 45. That lead slip. He got off to a good start, but it's also fair to say, Laura, that he tailed off a little bit towards the end of that particular contest.
Yeah, he did indeed,
60.
but he really was up against it because Edwards just turned the screw going out in 12 and 13 and 13. So there's an interesting lineup between them. Obviously, this will be their 4th meeting this week.
43.
The best that Duff has got is 1 leg in every single meeting. Everyone has gone 4-1 in favour of West, but this is knockout darts. This
81
means so much to both these players. And you heard the banter from Neil Duff in the VT running up to this match, asking exactly where Steve West was.
123.
Well, I could go through a back catalogue of jabs and jibes that these two, rather friendly, I have to say, have
95.
exchanged at one another.
Nearly
but we've only got 7 legs in this game,
110.
potentially. And Neil Duff is looking to strike the first blow. Double top for 110. He had 2 111s in his first game, and you can add that to his 3-figure catalogue. First blood, Neil Duff.
But Steve West will not be
Second
panicking
leg, it's Steve to throw
as
first.
yet, because
Game
that
on.
was a leg that was won on throw. Steve West, if he is to get past Duff, he's going to have to find a way of breaking, and he's going to need more darts like that. The first maximum, not just of the match for West, but of the evening.
I get the sense this is going to be a little bit tasty. Anything you can do, I can do just as well.
And Duff, safe in the knowledge that he is through, just starting to play to the crowd a little bit.
85.
Forever the showman. These are the occasions where the pair flourish. As good as they are behind closed doors Monday to Friday,
41.
when it gets to Saturday, they become different beasts altogether. Which is why collectively they got 13 trophies in this building, plus an influencer trophy in Steve West's case.
Steve is very proud of his influencer trophy.
I wouldn't call it a major title, but it is a title.
Winning is a winning, Henry.
40. Steve, you require 96.
Even Glenn Dolan's won one of them. Anyway, 96 of West. Evening, Glenn. I know he's watching,
36.
probably in his conservatory on this Saturday night with his pipe and slippers. Very boring.
Yeah, just get ready for a text
Steve,
message
you
or
require
two.
60.
That might even lead to a tweet.
This could lead to a level game.
40.
The double-double isn't got for Steve West.
Nearly require
Well, this really
140.
would hit his old adversary where it hurts.
Yeah, Neil Duff already found 3 Tom Plus checkouts this evening. Not finding the 140, but sets up nicely if West can't find it. But
shot and the second
no issue
leg.
this time round for Steve West. And we have parity now, 1 apiece.
Third leg, it's Neil to
Sometimes
throw first.
we give a
Game
game
on.
the big build-up, and it can flatter to deceive. But I just get the sense when these two play one another, because of the rivalry, because of the way both
60.
players go about their business, they actually go about it in very similar ways. They're not backwards in coming forwards, are they? Let's be honest. That's why I think whenever these two meet, they're just a perfect two to tango.
48.
Yeah, but the real characters. But I think, you know, the other thing is they do back it up when they're up at the Oki. Talking the talk and walking the walk. And it is another max for Neil Duff. 3 legs in, 3 maxes found.
He is exuding some swagger on the stage as the former Lakeside champion. Because Neil will look at it from this perspective as well. We keep building up this rivalry and we keep asking the pair about this rivalry. He also knows he has an opportunity here to get him gone before we get to knockout darts.
125. Neil, you require 161.
Well, clearly that is the ambition here for Neil Duff. Take out one of his
90.
biggest rivals.
$60. Neil, you require 71.
So this for a 2-1 lead.
He's back at the top of the board.
Game
And his
shot
top
and the
hitting
third
tonight
leg.
has been
Neil
exceptional.
Duff.
Halfway towards beating his good friend
Fourth
and
leg,
big
it's Steve
rival.
to throw first. Game on.
And I have to say, I mean, I've been here, Murph joke, but I've pretty much seen every time in this building over the course of the last 4
100.
years. And when we started this, it was July 2022, week 1 of stage 1. We moved here in the September. Just because of the format and the cycles, I didn't think we'd have an
100.
opportunity for any kind of rivalries to emerge. But these two, well, they've kind of been rivals in chief in this
60.
competition. When you think about matchups between players here, these two are right at the very top of the list.
Yeah, I just had a quick look back over their head-to-head records, and they have had copious
140.
amounts of meetings. It's Steve West with the stronger win percentage over Neil Duff. But it's doing it here when it counts. The last 4
85.
matches, including one back in January, Steve West has won those.
I'm glad you saved the planet, because you tried to print off their head-to-head meetings. You would have used up about 6 pages of paper.
60.
Needs a couple here, you feel. And a couple he gets.
140.
25 could be utilised, depending on what Neil does with Dart 2.
Well, he opted to stay there and did
Steve, you
find
require
a big treble.
116.
Shots off. Duff has an opportunity to move 3-1 up, and if he
76.
gets this, his 4th
Nearly
Tom Plus
require
checkout of the night, he'd have
101.
the darts to send Steve West packing, and he's going to get a dart at double top. So that one
66.
wide of the mark.
Steve, you
Yeah,
require
an absolute
40.
flyer from Neil Duff.
Game shot and the
No
fourth
mistake
leg.
from West.
Steve
Again,
West.
We have a level game. There is very little to split these two.
Fifth leg, it's Neil to throw first. Game on.
And just a reminder of the third player in this situation, Kevin Edwards, who is watching this all tantalisingly. He is a Neil Duff fan right now, because a win for the Duff man would send him through. Any win for Steve West, he is out.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of how Group B concluded
60.
yesterday, where Simon Stevenson was waiting on a result against Paul Hogan and Bonito van der Pas. Paul Hogan essentially playing the role of Stevenson to get him through. Well, now we've got Neil Duff
100.
playing the role of Kevin Edwards. And it must be horrible when you're sat at the back and you just don't know whether you're going to be playing again or not.
It's the hardest thing, because at least when you are playing, you can control the controllables. In the practice room, all you can do is pace up and down and just hope for the best. And it's a strange situation on a Saturday night, because you'll be on the practice ball getting ready for something that may not even come. On a Thursday and Friday in a Group C or Group B, you can at least leave the building and then just wait till later to find out your fate. They can't do that here.
83. Neil, you
They
require
might have more darts to play
114.
this evening.
Treble 18 for tops for another time plus
94.
checkout.
Steve, you require 158.
Steve West needs something out the top drawer here. But the 158 isn't going to go.
45. Neil, you require 20.
And hasn't really applied very much pressure at all. But that first start's just kicked as it landed in the board. It's a little bit awkward. You see that quite a lot of the bed is blocked.
10.
Yeah, as I said, that was difficult.
Steve, you require 113.
He's at a 148 tonight. And he can still take this out. Treble 18 and bull. This would be some recovery, some act of escapology. That is out of the top drawer.
Steve West.
The composure and readjustment was top notch.
Sixth leg, it's Steve to throw
And now
first.
he's throwing
Game
to
on.
send himself into the semi-finals.
What a moment. What a game
57.
changer that could prove to be. Steve West from out of nowhere pins the ball for a 113 finish. And I actually think, Henry, there was a split-second moment for Steve West when that went in the
140.
treble three that he thought the shot was off.
We've been speaking all week about how Neil Duff's been able to keep it
100.
together when his back's been against the wall. But that is some act. Not quite a dart in defiance, because he still would have had an opportunity in the next leg to turn things around.
100.
But just when things were getting awkward, he's found a way to get himself out of the mud.
Still very important.
140.
It was the breaker throw that he needed, and he's trying to back it up here.
$95.
By staying up on the treble 20s after that second dart, he has not been able to leave a finish.
140.
Steve West most definitely has, and I imagine Kevin Edwards is in the back room, not able to watch.
60.
Steve West has an
Steve, you require
opportunity to send
64.
himself into the semi-finals. To win the latest meeting between these two live lounge legends.
Game
A double
shot.
top is found.
And the match.
Steve West
Steve
is
West.
into the semi-finals. He gets the better of his Super Series rival Neil Duff. It means that Kevin Edwards will be heading home, despite winning his first game against Westy. Them two may well meet again tonight in the final, who knows? Both players are to within a couple of wins of lifting the title once again. Steve West into the final four, courtesy of a 4-2 win. Next up, we've got a straight shootout between Reese Collie and Paul Hogan.
Welcome back. Defiant darts from Steve West before the break, and it looked like he felt in this moment it might be slipping away, but a wonderful get out of jail shot here from West, bedding the ball for the 113 skin saver, and then going on to get the job done against Neil Duff to secure his spot in the semi-finals alongside his great Super Series rival. A recap of what has happened so far tonight. West was up against it when he lost out to Kevin Edwards in the opening match. Sparer fought for him. That win for West eliminates Edwards and puts West through alongside Duff. That could indeed be the final tonight, but there are plenty of other players that will have something to say about that. Bonito van der Pas is already through, and that means that this last group game between Reese Collie and Paul Hogan is going to be a straight shootout affair. There you see it in simple terms. The winner goes through to the semi-finals. Will it be Paul Hogan snapping up that spot, or will Reese qualify?
From here, every match in week 2 is a knockout affair. We're going to have 2 semi-finals and a final to come after what is effectively a quarter-final contest between Reese Collie and Paul Hogan. There's a saying in sport, isn't there? Winner stays on. But in this particular situation, it is the loser that stays on, because whoever loses this game will play in the first semi-final in around about half an hour's time. As far as these two are concerned, both players losing to Bonito van der Pas. For Paul Hogan, it was a subpar display, averaged only 70.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg, it's Reese to throw first. Game on.
As for Reese Collie, he had darts to beat Bonito, but found himself on the wrong end of a 4-3 scoreline. I'm intrigued to see how this one goes, because it's fair to say we've not seen either player play at their best so far this evening. I wonder if the knockout element might wake them up a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder the same, because out of the two, as you've mentioned,
60.
Both these players had moments in their group stages. Both had days where they went through the card. Paul Hogan in Group B, Reese Collie in Group C. But ultimately, there were probably more signs from Reese Collie, that ton checkout with the 2 tops, that it is there bubbling under the surface. But as a Paul Hogan, he was just all out of sorts in that first match. But we know the quality both these players possess.
Yeah, both players winners on the WDF/BDO circuit. Both players former weekly winners here, but one's going to be on the chopping block by the time this one's done.
100.
I guess the element that we sometimes mention as Collie looks at the big fish, and that just clattered into the dart already in the board.
Paul, you require
that last time he was here, Reese Collie, but unable to repeat the feat here. Hogan looking at a 116. Double 18.
Game
to add
shot
the 116 to an impressive catalogue of big finishes tonight. And how pivotal could that be for the Basingstoke man? Because that is a break for a break that he needs at some point if he's to win this match and progress to the semi-finals.
It's a break in 15 as well, and Paul Hogan looking much more like he was in his group stages. The other thing I was going to mention with regards to stuff that we sometimes talk about is the added pressure when you do have a bit of a following. And we know Reese Collie has a lot of people that come down from the West Country to come and support him.
Yeah, they made the trip from Dudley to Portsmouth once again.
85.
There they are. The Chaos Massive. In big numbers, giving Reese big support.
85.
And it's great to have that support, but sometimes it just can add an element of pressure in terms of you wanting to perform, not just for yourself,
100.
but also for those that make the effort, make the journey down to support you.
How did you find it when you had people rooting for you? Because actually a lot of the big tournaments that you played in your career were actually quite local to home for yourself.
Yeah, I did have quite a few that would journey to a lakeside, or even when it plays at the O2,
100.
the Indigo there, we had quite a few. I quite liked it. I found it difficult the first year I played at Lakeside, but I think you do get a little bit used to it. But ultimately, other tournaments I've had, it's just more been
99.
close friends and family, which for me is probably a bit more preferable.
Sometimes quality
91.
instead of quantity can work for a player. Look
Paul,
at
you require
Paul
76.
Hogan. It's just him and his wife Ange here tonight. Always
58.
by Paul's side, irrespective
Reese,
of
you
where he's
require
playing,
40.
whether it's here, Lakeside, Minehead. She is always the one constant.
Game shot.
That is the break back for Reese Collie. The double 10 found. And those to the bottom right-hand corner of that picture there can begin
Third leg, it's
to
Reese to
get
throw
themselves
first.
a little bit
Game on.
excited.
140.
Yeah, I've known both Angela and Paul for a very long time indeed. Angela used to be my county captain
85.
for Hampshire. I won't say how many years ago. She might not appreciate it. I won't appreciate it either.
Digging through the archives.
You'd have to dig deep, Henry.
40.
Yeah, I reckon I made my senior county debut maybe 26 years ago.
What, before I was born?
Thanks, Henry.
41.
It's just things that you don't have to say, you know.
The thing is, one day I'm going to be in my 50s here. I'm going to have some young
123.
upstart do exactly the same. So I'm just getting it in now.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm on the end of that.
100.
Well, Collie looking at 1-2-4 to turn this game on its head. Trailed 1-0, but has a chance here
Reese, you
to
require
lead this game and to put himself
124.
halfway towards the semi-finals. Triple 18 and Bull. Bullseye.
99.
Skims the 25 wire.
Paul, you require
And Hogan has left the 116 once again. Little lift for the treble 20. It's found. It's double 18 as his favourite double.
Game shot
It's the
and the third
second
leg.
time in the match that Paul Hogan has pinned the 116.
Fourth leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
That's the 9th ton plus checkout already. And we're only at the midway point of game 6. And not for the first time has the player
100.
hit repeat ton plus checkouts in a match. Neil Duff hit 2 111s against Kevin Edwards in game 3. Paul Hogan has done something similar to the 116 against Reese Collie.
And Collie was left shaking his head in the background. And it's not because it's the repeat 116. It is more the fact that it's another break of throw.
40.
Collie finds himself again on the back foot.
Problem is, he's just constantly chasing.
80.
But when Paul Hogan was at his best, that was a real hallmark of his game. I remember those matches against the likes of Gary Anderson, Adrian Lewis, and
100.
Ital at the UK Open. It was those mid-range finishes that gave him a lot of joy, because he may not be the biggest power scorer you've ever seen, but he's got this ability when
123.
push comes to shove and he gets an opportunity to win a leg. He can just find something that maybe some other players are unable to do.
63.
Keeping their cool, or keeping his cool when others are losing theirs.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, he had 3 ton
85.
plus checkouts in Group B, including a magnificent 157.
$95. Reese, you require
Not happy with that
128.
return, considering the first start landed in the treble 20.
92.
Big
Paul, you
pick up for the
require
last, but is this a
103.
third consecutive ton topper for Crocodile Dundee? Triple 17 is not got, and so Collie gets some kind of reprieve
51.
to break back and to level
Reese,
up
you
at
require
2-2.
36. Game shot on the fourth leg.
And we
Reese
are level
Collie.
once again. This is a real breakathon, but It's a good contest between these two players.
Fifth leg, it's Reese to throw first. Game
Much
on.
better from the pair in comparison to match one.
Ah, indeed. Played safely in the knowledge that winner takes it all.
140.
And the finishing, as already mentioned, has been on point. That one dart missed from Paul Hogan. The other two found off the back of 116 combinations. Only 2 darts missed for Reese Collie.
That's the first dart he was finding a lot in Group C.
140.
He hasn't been able to replicate as much tonight.
Yeah, found 12 maximums, but what we
60.
kept commenting on especially was his 2 treble finds. He was doing that so often.
42.
If you can keep churning them out, you're going to find yourself handy after 3-4 visits to the board, leg in, leg out. However, he's just beginning to change fate in this contest. Broke back in the
60.
previous to square up at 2-2, and now has 6 darts from here to put himself to within a leg of the semi-finals.
137.
It's another big 2 treble visits, the third of this leg for Reese Collie.
42. Reese, you
And
require
this
42.
to put Reese Collie within one of the match, one of the semi-finals.
10.
Doesn't go, but one thing which is becoming very apparent here is Reese Collie's finding a purple patch, just as Paul Hogan's dovetailing somewhat.
Yeah, Paul Hogan is probably
60.
disappointed in the fact that he's got those
Reese,
2
you
legs.
require 32.
They've both been breaks the throw and he hasn't been able to hold.
Game shot.
And
the
this
fifth
time
leg.
Collie does
Reese
hold.
Collie.
1 leg away from a Final 4 return.
6th leg, it's Paul to throw first.
First time
Game
in
on.
this match that Reese has had a lead. Questions being asked now of Paul Hogan. What has he got left?
100.
I just wonder, it may not be as much what has Paul Hogan got left.
140.
But how much longer is Reese Collie going to carry on in this vein of form?
$60.
Shake of the head and a flailing of the arms. And there on that power pack you see those 2 treble
60.
visits. 6 for Collie compared to 2 for Hogan. And most of those for Reese have just come in the last leg or 2.
And that difference, by and large, of 40 points just
81.
means that you're going to be either first to a finish, or if you're both on a finish, you're going to leave yourself something more tangible. If it be a 1-2-1 in comparison
60.
to a 1-6-1, it might be a 81 in comparison to a 1-2-1, for example. You're giving yourself better opportunities than your opponent.
100.
Well, the ton from Hogan does leave him on a finish. But this is going to be a better lead for Reese Collie, who pins the first max of the match.
160.
Well, he was hit by 160 against Bonito van der Pas yesterday, but he's not going to hit back. And so Reese Collie here to qualify himself for the
84.
semi-finals is looking at 61.
Reese, you require 61.
It's just snuck in. 58 remaining, 18 for tops.
Big mistake from Reese Collie. From that position, he should be guaranteeing himself at least 1 dart at a double.
25.
And the finishing
Paul, you
has
require
been very
76.
good from Paul Hogan when he's had the chances. He'll stay there for double 18.
Game shot.
And the
sixth
finishing
leg.
prowess from Hogan
Paul
has
Hogan.
kept him in this match. We go the distance once again.
Perhaps
Seventh
it
and
should be no
final leg. It's
surprise
Reese to throw first.
that this
Game
shootout
on.
meeting has a shootout leg.
140.
Winner stays on. Win this leg, you play the next match. Lose this leg, you're going home.
100.
Advantage Collie, and guess what? He's got a 40-point lead because he's hit a 2 treble score in comparison to Hogan's 1.
131.
An important last start for Reese Collie. Just keeps his nose in front, but that's an inviting first start for Paul Hogan. He'll want to make the most of it.
100.
But again, has to settle for a ton.
That first start is begging for bedfellows. He fills it up. He's surely not going to go for the ball for a 10-dart leg, but he could get this wrapped up in 4 visits.
And Paul Hogan affords him 6
Reese, you require 50.
at least from this position.
Game, shot.
And it is Reese Collie who gets the victory. It's a 4-3 win, a narrow victory over Paul Hogan. Paul Hogan out at the group stages. Reese Collie, there you see it. He has qualified for the semi-finals. It was a finishing masterclass from both players. Paul Hogan hitting those 2 116 checkouts, but proved not to be enough. And it is Reese Collie who is going through to the semis.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where the semi-finals are set up on week 2 of Series 14. But before we start to preview those, we're going to talk about things away from the Super Series for just a moment. That's because Neil Duff kind of prompted us to do so. Neil there holding up a sign saying well done Trina, and that's because at Bradmore Farm today Trina won the first of the women's ADC tour events, followed by Dieter Hedman winning the second. We congratulate her as well, but Trina's one of our own, isn't she? And she deserves that victory.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're not easy to win as well. I saw her get the victory over Gemma Hayter, as you can see on the screen. And I have heard from other people that were there that Trina really wasn't missing anything, including this 113 to win. So great to see her back in the winner's enclosure, absolutely where she belongs, and playing some really good darts.
Yeah, the Golden Girl getting the victory there. Dan Nichols and Archie Self getting wins in the men's events as well. So we've seen, I don't know how to say that Trina's maybe a veteran player, but a really young player, Archie Self, who's done a lot of damage here at the Super Series himself as well.
Yeah, how often do we say it now? Darts is for all ages, and some of the youngsters coming through are scary, but do not ever underestimate the power of experience as well. So pleased for all the winners.
Experience, that's the word I was looking for. Right then, let's bring you back to this evening, and this is what happened in the group stages tonight. Victory in that final game there, right in the last leg, saw Reese Collie go through at the expense of Paul Hogan. Steve West actually went through at the expense of Kevin Edwards, despite the fact he beat Neil Duff to get there. We've been talking about it all night, this narrative of Neil Duff, the most decorated player here, against Steve West, the second most decorated. West won that match, he had to get through. Could meet again in the final.
They could now, yeah. And I think Neil Duff was determined to try and dispatch Steve West at that point, so it didn't happen. But ultimately, as you say, it really could.
Yeah, that's how it's set up. But Reese Collie and Bonito van der Pas will have something to say about that. Collie found that fire in his game. Bonito van der Pas, arguably the player of the night so far in terms of his consistency. But let's start with Steve, because there was a real moment in that match, wasn't there, where he looked like it might be over, and he just dug deep and found something.
Yeah, he had to dig deep to get the couple of legs on the board that he had. And then at 2 apiece, he had that 113.
Yep.
And you saw he just looked really annoyed. The first one goes in the treble 3. And the reaction for me, I thought he thought that the shot was off. Worked it out, recomposed, realised actually, yeah, still can finish in 2 darts. And then the 54. And a bullseye finish, we know they are not hard, they're not easy to come by, but it was a huge turning point in the match.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And he just found something. And do you think in a way that Neil Duff was a perfect opponent for him? Because there was a little bit of friendly fire on that stage, wasn't there?
Yeah, and there always is between these two, because they know each other inside and out, having a look at their head-to-head record, and it's a list as long as your arm. So very much the perfect person to play against, because ultimately, you know, I know Steve West wants number 6, and I know Neil Duff wants to stop him and get number 7 himself.
Well, let's talk about Neil then, because he played really well in that first game, didn't he? And there were moments in the game against Steve West that he was playing to a high standard as well. Have you seen enough from Duff to see that he could go on and win again tonight?
Yeah, sometimes I think the difficulty is when you know you've qualified, especially after that first match, which we knew he had, it's having the adrenaline. You can't naturally manufacture that. I know Neil would have wanted to have won. He wanted to have seen off Steve West, but ultimately, I think what we've seen from him so far, he's finding that treble 20 with more consistency. He's finding big finishes, the 111 and the tops he had on a bit of a string for a while. So, yeah, he's looking in fine form.
Yeah, he certainly is. And those big finishes in that game, type of thing that's come in handy now when we're in this stage, isn't it? Semi-finals and potentially a final coming up. Those can really change and win matches.
Well, we saw it from Steve West as we were just discussing. They are game changers. It's a short format. It's a race to 4. It can put your opponent on the back foot, especially when they're sat poised on a double. They can hurt even more. So, yeah, if our players can pull out a few more big finishes, then it will stand them in good stead.
Yeah, I mean, 3 of the players here, what's that? 12 weekly wins between 3 of the semi-finalists, and then Bonito van der Pas on his first finals night, but in a way looking like the most experienced.
Well, he's the one that's kind of sailed through, isn't he? He's the only one in the field left to have not lost a game, won both of his. And yet I think the form that he had yesterday, we were questioning whether he was going to bring it back today, and I think he has.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he's produced some big stuff. I mean, Paul Hogan will be glad to see the back of him when he won't want him in his group next series.
No, I don't think many people will, to be honest. And Henry and I were talking about it, that he's got the experience, he's got the pedigree, he's done amazing things, you know, in the world of darts over the years. He's had a break and he's just testing himself, and he's coming through that test really well.
Yeah, Reese Collie wins in a shootout. He's got a few friends, supporters here to cheer him on. Kind of cheered him over the line a little bit in the end, but we said it, didn't we? He's the kind of player that kind of thrives in that scenario.
Yeah, and he really did warm to the task against Paul Hogan. He was unlucky. He missed match starts against Bonito van der Pas, but it was a really tough battle between him and Paul Hogan, who upped his game compared to his first one. But Reese Collie just found that little bit more in the end. He started to find the rhythm that we saw him win Group C.
Let's just then look ahead to the semi-finals one more time before they get underway. This is the order of play for the rest of the evening. The first one, West against Collie, followed by Van der Pas versus Duff. We'll do them in reverse order. Van der Pas against Duff. Are you starting to lean towards Bonito a little bit?
So I said at the start, I think, just because for me, it's nice to have a different name on the trophy, but I've also liked what I've seen from Neil Duff, and he just knows how to win here. It has not been a straightforward week for him whatsoever, and he may just feel that all the stars are starting to align.
And in terms of Steve West against Reese Collie, both of them are coming in a kind of a similar position, aren't they? They've both had to dig deep, but they've already played a knockout match, so to speak.
Yeah, they've both had, it has not been straightforward for either of those players. They've both had to really fight to get that position, so that could be the driver that they need. They've come through a tough time in the group stages, and they've got through it on the right side.
Yeah, I'm just looking over my shoulder now, and I can see Steve West practicing there on his own. I'm not sure where Reese Collie is at this stage. Is there a bit of a tomfoolery going on?
Who knows? Who knows what goes through the mind of dart players? It might just be the fact Steve West is just that eager to get back up on the stage. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they pan out, because, like I say, I think both semi-finals, different dynamics. You've got two that have had to fight to get through, and two that are probably a bit more confident in how it's gone so far.
I mean, you're saying Bonito is your pick. However, it would be an incredible thing to see West and Duff meet in the final, wouldn't it?
It would, and you can just imagine it. They meet again, and the irony will probably be that Duff then gets the better of Steve West after losing to him in the group stages, because how many times have we seen that happen?
Yeah, and the reason that they are so, we're so excited about seeing them play each other is this reason here, because they are two of the most prolific winners here at the Super Series. We showed you earlier tonight how many titles they'd won. Well, look at the amount of matches they've won between them. It is quite remarkable, and it actually shows that the Super Series, for some players, is very fruitful, isn't it?
Well, Neil Duff and Steve West are pretty much 1 and 2 in terms of titles won. If Steve West can pick up a couple more wins here, then he'll be joint with Scott Taylor. They'll be 1 and 2 in this metric as well. It just shows how much experience and how good they are when they come here.
Yeah, great point. Still waiting for Reese Collie to turn up. I think he has just made his way to the stage, so I think we can now get on with the semi-finals. West versus Collie is a first.
To win the latest meeting between these two live lounge legends.
Game,
A double
shot.
top is found.
And the match.
Steve West is into the semi-final.
Game, shot.
And it is Reese Collie who gets the victory.
We are now ready then for the semi-finals to get started. Will Reese Collie make it through to the finals? He looks to pick up his second title here at the Super Series, or will it be this man, Steve West, putting himself in a position to go level with Neil Duff on weekly wins? We will find out, and I'll tell you what, Henry Deacon won't be waiting for Laura Turner. She wouldn't do that to him. She will be there, and we hope to hear her voice right about now.
I am here. I have made it back to the commentary box, absolutely, and I cannot wait to see how these next couple of matches, how they pan out. As Chris and I were just discussing, it has not been a straightforward path to the semi-finals for these two. Reese Collie had to beat Paul Hogan, did so in a last leg decider. And as for Steve West, well, at 2-2, he looked like he may have been in a spot of bother against Neil Duff in what was also a must-win match for him, but a magnificent 113 finish saw him break the Duff throw and then win out 4 legs to 2, avoiding that drama of a last legger. Well, Henry, I don't know about you, but I don't know how much we've learnt from tonight. I am still none the wiser as to who is picking up the title.
Well, what we have learnt is the noise level and the decibel level has just
100.
gone up a little bit as we get to the serious stuff.
60.
Hush descends now. Reese Collie was giving Steve West the weight
42.
prior to this game getting underway. Or was it the other way round? Was it Steve West wanted to get out there super eager? I don't know how those imposters lie.
No, I'm not sure, but I will say, I guess in Reese's defence, he would have only just have come off the stage. It's a quick
60.
turnaround if you are game number 6 and you are playing that first semi-final.
Well, both players have played effective knockout matches tonight. Steve West had to beat Neil Duff, did that. Reese Collie playing a knockout game against Paul Hogan. He also won that. So both will be fine-tuned to the necessity of winning to save their skins and to progress through to the next round of this competition. But it's Steve with 6 darts on 150 to take the first chalk in this first semi-final.
Yeah, and he has got time
96.
because Reese Collie
Steve,
did not leave himself on a finish. Tops for Steve.
10. Reese, you require 66.
Come and gone. Collie looking at 66. He's only going to get 1 dart. At tops.
46.
And just like Steve West, opportunity
Steve,
goes a
require
begging.
40.
Down to 10s. Should be a good guide for Steve West, and he uses it well.
Steve West.
1-0 to Steve West.
Second
Not a
leg is
vintage
Reese to throw
leg.
first. Game on.
He's off and running. That's the important thing. I just say it was a really
60.
good meeting that Steve had with Neil Duff. Unsurprisingly, I suppose. 4th and 6th on his doubles, average just over the
125.
But it was the performance of Reese Collie in the previous match which really stood up to attention. Average of 97.83,
60.
4 from 8 on the doubles. It was a really good performance. And the fact that he's just come back off and come back on the stage to play his next match, you'd
40.
think in theory he should still be feeling good about himself, but fairly obviously at the beginning of this game, it just hasn't quite gone to the
60.
same plan.
It hasn't settled, and how often we've said so far this week, for Reese Collie, it's all about that first dart. When he starts getting that right, then you are in trouble. But if we go back to that match against Paul Hogan,
25.
those first few legs, they were all going against the throw. And I think that was key. That was just a bit of an indicator that it maybe took Collie a leg or two to get into the match.
85.
Which against Steve West, I'd say you can't afford to do, but then Steve West has squandered a 3-1 lead tonight against Kevin Edwards.
Although Kevin Edwards did score
60.
out of this
Steve, you
world.
require 151.
13-12, 13 from 3-1 behind. And West, from
41.
here, should put himself 2-0 up in a game again.
Yeah, you feel that Collie's going to need at least a couple of trebles.
94.
Can
Steve,
only
you require
find the one.
110.
Bull for tops.
90.
Just underneath.
Reese, you require 142.
That would have been his 3rd ton plus checkout of the night. Following on for the 1 for 8 and that 113, which changed the game against Neil Duff in his previous match.
82. Steve, you require 20. Game shot.
Double
and the
10
second leg.
found again
Steve
for
West.
Steve West. Reese Collie, if he is to progress
Third
through
leg,
to
it's
the
Steve to throw
final, needs
first.
to find
Game
something
on.
and quickly. He's been restricted to just the one solitary
100.
dart at a double in this contest so far.
And that's because the power scoring we were talking about in
100.
his previous game against Paul Hogan has completely deserted him.
Yeah, I guess the flip side of what we were saying about
100.
you've had a short break and you should be able to kind of maintain what the same level of performance is how much it takes out of you to get across the line.
60.
It's a last leg decider. It's a must win. So much concentration, so much effort put into that you don't have enough time perhaps to reset and then
95.
think about the semi-final.
Is it that sense of constantly going back to the world? Because Reese has played a big game. He's won it.
91.
The adrenaline was pumping. It may have just receded a bit, and now he's had to go again.
Yes, you have that instant wave of relief, don't you? The adrenaline then drains out of your body, and now you've got to
45.
get yourself pumped back up. But you've only got kind of 10, 15 minutes to do it.
Whereas Steve's just had that little bit longer, had a little bit of a gap before playing this game.
96. Steve, you require 161.
Could be a gap in terms of the scoreline, a gap of 3 legs. Well, the 161's been taken a couple of times in this week, too. It won't be taken again there.
Reese, you require 154.
It sets up beautifully if this 154 doesn't go for Reese Collie.
$94. Steve, you require 24.
To give himself a
Game
3-0
shot in the
lead.
third
Steve
leg.
West is a leg
Steve
away
West.
from yet another final here.
Fourth leg, it's Reese to throw first.
One
Game
of
on.
the greatest champions we have ever seen at the Super Series is beginning to make his mark on what he feels is his territory.
140.
But it's a good start from Reese Collie, but it could be a better one here for Steve West.
140.
Well, ultimately matching his opponent.
140.
Well, Collie now finding those first couple of 140s, but is it too little, too late? Because Steve West, you feel, has got the bit
140.
between his teeth.
Proper leg, 4 visits, all 140s.
100.
Quillity's 1-2-1 after 9. West is looking for 81 at least. Hoping for 41. And 41 he will be left on to win this match, potentially 11 darts if this does not go.
Needs the treble 17. Big miss from Collie, and what a
28.
chance for Steve West.
Steve, you require 41.
Well, this has been a rout. And
Game
that is an 11 dart leg
And the match.
for Steve
Steve
West to complete a clean sweep over Reese Collie. He is 1 game away from a 6th weekly title. For Reese Collie, the wait for a second win here goes on. But there's been signs that he is getting back to his very, very best. But for Steve West, guess what? He's in the final once more. Very familiar territory for him. But is he going to be facing a familiar adversary? Neil Duff is awaiting in our second semi-final against Bonito van der Pas.
Well, he gets over the line in the end. Good bridge. 2-2. There it is. We have a game on our hands. But why waste any time? Not when you can do that. For Huntley. Taken.
In the match, Michael Huntley.
Splits. Well, that makes things awkward. Oh, what a find that is. The winner is '18. Tops. And Michael Huntley has fired himself into his first. Because Dudbridge has 2 more match starts and he only needs 1. Tension palpable. Come on. Wild. He's done it! And finally, Michael Huntley is a Super Series winner.
Series 14, Week 1, it's babyface Michael Huntley!
That's what happened here last Saturday. Michael Huntley being the first winner of the series. He picked up the title, a popular winner as well, and an ecstatic victory for Michael Huntley of Wales. We will be crowning our second champion of the series later on tonight. And it might well be Steve West, because he has just charged through to the final with a whitewash win over Reese Collie in the first of our semi-finals. Superb stuff from Steve West, looking to add to his title tally tonight. And it is still on, of course, that showdown between West and Duff in the final. Duff, the man with the most weekly wins here. West has the second most, but Neil Duff needs to get there first. And to do that, he needs to beat Bonito van der Pas in the second semi-final.
2 fives to get it wrapped up.
Game.
2 fives fouled.
And the match.
And it's back-to-back win to Big Ben.
Last time he was looking at this, he has time on his side.
There is nothing sweeter than a repeater.
Shot. And the match. Neil Duff.
Okay then, let's get going with that second semi-final. Neil Duff and Bonito van der Pas have made their way to the stage to contest it. West awaits the winner, and guiding you through the action once again are Laura and Henry.
Thank you very much, Merce. Semi-final number 2, and the crowd who in good voice. They were entertained with a rather good rendition of Sweet Caroline in the commercial break. But who is going to face Steve West in the crescendo game? That is the question. Bonito van der Pas won both of his matches. In fact, he was the only player to win both of his matches in the group stage, up against Neil Duff, who's hoping for a second meeting with Westy tonight. He's already lost to Steve this evening, 4-2. That was in game 5 of the session. That was after he beat Kevin Edwards 4-1 in the opener. Now, if you're looking at it from a numbers basis, Neil Duff played the better of the pair tonight, despite the fact Bonito's won both of his games. First game is Kevin Edwards, average of 96.66.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Fourth mate on his
First
doubles,
leg,
2
it's
111
Bonito to throw
checkouts.
first. Game on.
Found a 110 against Steve West, an average of 93.8. He hit 4 180s, but found himself on the wrong end of a 4-2 scoreline for
45.
Bonito. He is hoping it's not going to be finito for him this week come the end of this match.
Yeah, and I think these two over the course of this week will have got to know each other really well. this their 6th meeting. They were both in Group A. It was head-to-heads 2-1 in favour of Duff, and both progressed into Group B, and it was one apiece. But for me, it was that meeting yesterday. Bonito van der Pas, in a match where essentially he had to win because he had such a poor Thursday, managed to beat Neil Duff 4 legs to 1.
140.
He had an excess of a 91 average, but I'm with you. I think, Neil Duff, he has put in the better numbers, but hey, it's a semi-final. Anything can happen.
Neil Duff.
45.
It is familiar territory for Bonito. It is walking on water, which has been left uncharted for a good few years now.
29.
And for Bonito, out of all the players, I mean, he finished his group stage back in match number 4. He played early on, so he's had a bit of a wait for this second semi-final.
And it has to be said, the early indications are that is showing.
42. Nearly
Duff has got
required
all the time in the world
160.
to get the break here.
$92.
No big 3-figure out for Duff on this occasion, but as you say, Henry, Bonito very slow out of the traps in this semi-final.
96. Nearly requires 68.
So again, another half dozen if he wants it. And he's going to need a second visit to polish his leg up.
Yeah, absolutely. Fractions away from the double with those last 2 darts.
137. Nearly require 8.
He does get another chance. And he's almost hit the same spot. It's awkward. Sometimes when you throw a dart that close to the double, it is hard because it's a blocker.
Wow, does he nestle away through that? There's no way. And Van der Pas here.
Bonito,
he's looking for 6-7.
He's looking for double
35.
16.
Neil, you require 4.
So double 2.
Game
Double
shot
2 is
of the
found.
first
Duff gets a
leg.
break and leads one. In
Neil
fact,
Duff.
if Neil Duff plays Steve West in the final, we'll have the ultimate 6-7 because West is looking for title number 6 and Neil Duff's
Second
looking
leg,
for
it's
title
Neil
number
to throw
7.
first. Game on. $60.
Yeah, that is a number, 6-7. That is very prevalent in our house. 2 teenage girls.
140.
But that, a better visit from Van der Pas.
Yeah, never really got out the traps in the first leg. In fact, he can count himself lucky he even got an opportunity to win that first
60.
leg. Such was the lackluster finishing power of the Duff man. Needing his 7th opportunity at the outer ring to
93.
get the breaker throw, which he needed at some point if he was to win this semi-final.
Yeah, and ultimately, even if you don't quite play your best, it's also if you stumble across the line,
100.
it really doesn't matter. It's all about who gets the 4 legs first. And
97.
it's a good response, though, from Van der Pas.
60.
And a treble-less visit for Neil Duff means Van der Pas has at least 6 from this position. And
131.
it's beautiful setup play. He does use the board really well.
Perfect mathematics from Bonito van der Pas. Who needs Owen Binks to tell you where you go when
55.
Bonito van der Pas can do
Bonito,
that?
you require 40.
That's what you shouldn't do from Neil Duff. He's had
Game
himself in
shot and the
1-6-6,
second
irrelevant
leg.
anyway.
Bonito
That's a
van der
13
Pas.
darter. And Van der Pas gets us back at 1 apiece. A break apiece at the beginning of this semi-final.
Is there an argument
Third
here
leg,
that
it's
Van der
Bonito
Pas has
to
just
throw
lulled Neil
first.
Duff into
Game
a false sense of security? There was no signs of this in the opening leg.
81.
It's almost as if we've seen 2 completely different players in the first 2 legs. It was like an imposter was on the stage for leg 1, and then the real Bonito decided to turn up for leg 2.
100.
But as we've mentioned, yes, Van der Pas has had that breakaway from the top end
97.
of the profession of darts, but so much experience to draw upon. He was such a seasoned campaigner, breaking into the top 16 of the PDC World Championship
85.
rankings.
You've been in that situation where you took a long break yourself. How commendable is the effort that Bonito's put in this week to rediscover something near his best so
57.
quickly after coming back into the sport again?
Oh, massive, because I remember my first tournament when I came back and I was absolutely petrified. I was so nervous. It was over in the Czech Republic. And
140.
scored well, couldn't finish, came off, absolutely shaking. So to come here and do it, in front of cameras, very commendable indeed.
40.
Yeah, it's fair to say he's certainly thrown himself in the deep end here as Bonito van der Pas.
Yeah, but he's doing more than treading water, isn't he? He's
60.
positively thriving. We've had some fantastic moments from him.
We've seen Harry Ward recently pick up a challenge tour, and he was in a similar situation to Bonito not too long ago.
100. Nearly require 116.
Had a couple of 111s from Duff. Is he going to add a 116?
96.
It's a great effort.
Bonito, you require 126.
The 19's in play again. However, 4 of them will leave the bullseye. Unable to find a way through. So Duff for the third consecutive break.
54. Nearly require 20. Game shot and the third leg.
2-1 to Neil Duff. Now, our esteemed friend and colleague Chris Mason usually talks about a game which involves a lot of breaks of throw as a game that's a little bit scrappy. A match where nobody can really get a feel for it. And in this case, it is very much that.
100.
Yeah, these two have locked horns throughout the course of the week, but by far this is their most important meeting. And yeah, you're right, it's
97.
showing in terms of the consistency when it comes to scoring. Neil Duff really struggled to get that opening leg. Missed 7 at the outer ring.
100.
Such an inviting first start, looking to pin the first maximum of the match, and he does so.
180. $60.
So Bonito in a position to get the 4th consecutive break in this game. If you win the group, having the throw is meant to be an advantage in the semi-finals, but it's felt anything but that for Bonito in this contest.
It's meant to be, but, well, after praising the ball management skills of Van der Pas this time, he has left a bogey number.
Well, Neil Duff's had 2 111s. He's had a 110. Is he going to get a second one here? And if he does,
90.
he puts himself within a leg
110.
of a final meeting with you-know-who.
50.
And yet
Bonito,
another break
76.
opportunity for Van der Pas. Double 18 is the double of choice.
40. Nearly require 60.
But is that the big opportunity for Big Ben come and gone? Double 10. Duff's one away.
Shot and the 4th leg. Neil Duff.
The first hold of throw in this match,
5th
and
leg,
it
it's
is
Bonito to
Neil
throw
Duff,
first.
who is now
Game on.
1 leg away from another weekly final, another meeting with Steve West.
100.
We could have dusted this all up on Monday morning at 9:30 because they met in the first game of the week. Are they going to be bookenders and give us a
140.
storyline as tantalising as an episode of EastEnders? And is it going to be Duff Duff that crosses the finishing line?
134. 140.
2 consecutive opening visits of 140 for Neil Duff.
140.
But this is a superb response from Bonito van der Pas.
The Paul Hinks special.
100. Bonito, you require 127.
And he may need this to save the game and to save his weekly campaign. It's the bull.
102.
Is that the last dart
Nearly
he
require
throws this week?
121.
If it is, the 1-2-1 has to go for Neil Duff. Just the wrong side of the wire. And Van der Pas with an opportunity to extend
49.
this match, to bring
Bonito,
it within
you require
one
25.
leg.
2 8s.
9.
Doesn't go. This is for
Nearly
the final.
requires 72.
Tops for Duff.
32.
One match
Bonito, you
start
require
come and
16.
gone for Neil Duff. You can see how frustrated he is.
1 dart left.
14.
Doesn't go. And so Neil Duff looking at tops to face his old adversary
Nearly
Steve
require
West
40.
in the weekly final.
Game. Shot.
And it is
And the
Neil
match.
Duff who
Neil
gets
Duff.
across the line. Bonito van der Pas, he had his chances to draw closer to the Duff man, but it's Neil Duff in that El Clasico match against Steve West in the final. Yeah, he speaks out to the crowd. It's a raise of the arms. It's all smiles now. It was a scrappy affair. You could tell it was a lot of pressure on both of them, but he is back in another final.
He needs the bullseye. Oh my word! How has he done that? Tops. What a start!
From 3-0 down, he now has 2 darts. Only needs 1.
Double 4. And it's Scarborough supremacy here at the Modus Super Series, and that's how much it means to Graham Usher.
And this time it is taken. Richie McKee of Northern Ireland.
He could be stopped.
That's how.
Oh, that's a big break. That's a big finish.
Because he's already hit the big fish once tonight.
Yeah, this is the lineup for week 3 of Series 14, and we've got some really interesting players, haven't we? The 2 Wizards in Group B, Simon Whitlock and Colin Osborne. Richard McKee, who's been a winner here, is in Group C. Group A, though, which gets underway on Monday, features the likes of Aidan Kirk, Henry Coates, Graham Usher, Bradley van der Velden, Pete Hughes and Giovanni Matthey, who had a chat with Henry Deacon earlier on as he popped in to see us on this finals night.
Giovanni, great to see you here at the Super Series. You're making your debut next week. You've come down a couple of days earlier to the live lounge. First of all, what's your first impressions on the venue?
Well, I came in, got nervous because reality started kicking into me immediately. But I love the venue. It's cozy, it's warm, you guys are all welcoming. Yeah.
How much are you looking forward to the experience of playing here next week?
I'm super excited to play, but nervous. Yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about your backstory in terms of where you started with darts and how it's got you to the position that you're in within the sport now.
So I started in about 10 years ago, a bit more than 10 years, playing the DSA Amateur League. Went through my youth stages, gone into the seniors, and in 2023 I made the decision to move over to Devon. Yeah, and I came a lot short in all the tournaments and qualifiers, and I took a year's break in 2025. Came back 2026 and won the first qualifier and messed up in the World Championship qualifier, World Cup qualifier that we had now in Kimberley. So I'm still, that didn't knock me down. I'm still feeling good and confident. So I'm looking to the way forward in my career.
In terms of an experience, is this unlike anything that you've previously done before?
No, this is my very first time traveling abroad, playing in international experience. Normally it's just interprovincial I used to do. So this is my first time international, so I'm quite nervous, and I think that's just part of the game.
Have you set any goals for yourself this week, or is it just a case of taking every game as it comes?
My goals of this week was just to feel and take everything as it comes, try and do my best of my ability and see where the dart gods take me to.
Well, we look forward to watch you play. Giovanni, good luck. Enjoy tonight. We'll see you on Monday.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's Giovanni Matthey, who popped in this evening ahead of his Modus Super Series debut on Monday, and part of the qualifying system from the African Darts Group. And it's great to see that this place is really attracting players from all around the world.
Yeah, following in the footsteps of Devon Peterson, Peter Baturi, just to name a couple. So yeah, it's a massive opportunity, and obviously he's looking forward to it. Great to see him coming here, soaking up a bit of the atmosphere, and I'm sure he'll hope to be part of the action next Saturday.
Yeah, but this Saturday, it's all about 2 players who kind of have their second home here, isn't it? It is a final between Steve West, who actually does live around the corner, just up the road in Waterlooville, and Neil Duff, who has to fly over from Switzerland, but maybe has got a second house here in Portsmouth. It certainly would make sense. And both of them just made light work of their semi-final opponents, didn't they?
I mean, it's the final that everyone was talking about, obviously. They're the most decorated people that come here to the live lounge. And, you know, there's a certain kind of beauty to the fact that they were the 2 that kicked off all the action on Monday. They're going to be the 2 that see out all the action today. And there are bragging rights on the line.
There certainly are. And Steve West, look, he could have been out of it. Neil Duff could have got rid of him earlier on tonight. But in that semi-final, he just did not give Reese Collie a sniff.
He didn't, no. He looked far more comfortable in terms of the play in the semi-finals over Neil Duff. But the results, they were quite comfortable ultimately for both of them. But Yeah, Neil Duff might live to regret the fact that he didn't get rid of Steve West a little bit earlier on, because Steve looked very good in the semi.
What about the second semi then? Because Bonito was going into it. It would have been a hard task for Neil to crack, but it was about who could hold their throw, wasn't it? And Neil did it, and that's kind of got the job done.
Yeah, and that's basically it. That was the end of the story, because for Neil Duff, he was having some real issues when it came to finding those doubles. Bonito van der Pas, he had the opportunity to level things up, but that one holder throw made all the difference for Neil Duff, and ultimately, yeah, it changed the game around, and Bonito was on the back foot from that point.
It's been a decent campaign for him, though, hasn't it, Bonito van der Pas, to have been out of the game for so long. He was here 3 years ago, been a while to come back. Obviously, he's got a lot of talent, and he must be leaving here thinking, you know what, I've still got something to offer.
Oh, I really do hope so. I'd love to see him back here, have another crack at picking up a weekly title, because, like I say, he has done really well. He's got better as the week's gone on. Yeah, he fell short in the semi-final, but very good in the group stages. Very, very good indeed in his group yesterday. So lots and lots to take, lots of positivity.
Right, let's look ahead to this final. As you say, it's the one that we kind of, I wouldn't say been hoping for, but it just seemed written, didn't it, that these two were going to meet. If Steve West can win it, he will go level with Neil Duff on titles won here at the Super Series. So in terms of weekly titles, it would be 6 apiece there. In terms of overall titles, it would be 7 apiece. They've both won a double trouble as well. That motivation, they both kind of say, and Neil has said it in the past, Steve West has said it in the past, that they don't really think about that, but surely coming into this match against that opponent, it's going to be at the front of your mind, never mind the back of it.
Yeah, they're going to try and put it to the back, obviously, but if we were all talking about it. Neil Duff kind of called him out after picking up his last weekly title, asking, where are you, Steve West? Well, he's in the final and he is the opponent. So I do think it will be something they'll be thinking about, but ultimately it's about who gets to 4 legs first. This could be, I just don't know how this game's going to go, because it could be absolutely brilliant or it could be a little bit scrappy.
And you could kind of see the banter starting at the end of the match when Steve did beat Neil. I think Neil sort of said a few words to him. I think it was something like, I'll see you in the final, or I'll get you in the final. Look, they've already had their first little exchange in the practice room. Steve West won the bull. How significant could that be? Not just because he gets the throw, but just to get that mental edge.
Well, yeah, you've already won the first part of the combination that is getting to the hockey. So he's going to go throw first. He is going to want to make the most of it. He threw first in the semi-final, won out 4-0. Did not give Reese Collie a look in. He's going to hope to do the same, and he is on a bit of a winning streak against Neil Duff. I think he's won the last 5 now.
Wow.
So does that play into their minds?
Right, will it be deadlock or daylight? Duff is about to take on West in the final.
Well, this has been a rout. And
Game.
that is an 11-dart leg
And the match.
for Steve West.
Game. Shot.
And it is
And the
Neil
match.
Duff who
Neil
gets
Duff.
across.
It's now time for our Series 14 Week 2 final. And your first player is the winner of 5 weekly titles. He's the reigning double trouble champion. It's simply Steve West. And Steve's opponent, he's a record-breaking 6-time weekly winner, the inaugural Double Trouble champion and the 2022 WDF Lakeside World Champion. From Northern Ireland, please welcome the Duff man, Neil Duff.
Yeah, the mind games have certainly started. That was Michelle, Steve's wife, that Neil Duff was hovering around for a little too long on that walk on there. But the pair of them, they're good friends off the hockey, as we heard from them earlier in the evening, but they are fighting it out to, well, try and be the leading light of the live lounge. Neil Duff holds that honour at the moment. One more title than Steve West. Can he make that two and put a little bit of a gap between them and give Steve West a bigger gap to bridge, or will West tie it up tonight and of course then have a shot at overtaking it at the one that's eluded the pair of them, the Champions Week trophy? Well, to get to Champions Week, you've got to win this match. 4 more legs to win for these two regular winners, and one more time guiding you through the action in this game that seemed written in the stars at the Super Series tonight. It's Henry Deacon and Laura Turner.
Well, it started off with a kiss, but I suppose it was always going to end up like this, wasn't it? Steve West against Neil Duff. There was always an air of inevitability that these two were going to joust it out in the big game.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. First leg, it's Steve to throw first. Game on.
This week kicked off on Monday morning at 9:30 with Steve West taking on Neil Duff, and it ends on Saturday night at 22:11 with the same fixture. Steve West kicks it off with a maximum. Between them,
45.
they are the two most decorated players we've ever seen in this format. 11 weekly titles, 13 titles all told. For Neil Duff, it'll be 7 heaven if he wins. For
43.
Steve West, he will join Neil with 6 of the very best titles here on the South Coast. How does this one play out, Laura Turner?
Oh, I do not have a crystal ball. I cannot tell you, but we won't have to wait long to see the end result. I mentioned to Murph that it is Steve West that has had that
60
winning streak over Neil Duff. He has actually won the last 6 matches that they have contested here at the Live Lounge. 3 of those
76.
being on Monday. And ultimately, for Steve West, it has been... He's got to the finals by qualifying through Group A, so no drama there. Little bit of drama in the
58.
group stages, but breezed past Reese Collie in the semi-final. As for Neil Duff, well, he's done it the tough way. But ultimately, he is a player that tends to find a way. Well, will he find a way to beat Steve?
Well, the Rogue Fly has seen
35.
better days.
Steve, you require 160.
West looking at 160. Took out a key 113 in the meeting between the pair earlier on this evening.
100.
And has had the better of this opening leg. Now this, the only game of the week where there is a bull-off in the practice room. Steve West won that, and he's looking to use that to the best of his
100.
advantage here.
Steve, you require 60.
Tops for the opening leg.
40.
Well, Neil
you
Duff
require
has had a
105.
few ton-plus finishes already. He's had the 111. He's had the 110. Not adding the 105.
41. Steve, you require
strike
20.
first. West
Game
one,
short in the
Duff
first leg.
nil.
Steve West. Second leg, it's Neil to throw first. Game on.
This is kind of a rivalry in a story. You can see it's absolutely captivated the crowd here at the Live Lounge. It's kind of captivated the imaginations of quite a lot of us. The fact that they're here in the same week and they do have that friendly rivalry.
And I think what captivates
59.
us more than anything else is their ability of keep doing it time after time. And we speak about this so often. This is such a hard format to win once, let
95.
alone on the repetitive basis that these two have over the course of the last 3 and a bit years.
100.
I do agree, because there are players that get their invites back series after series, but they have not been able to do what these two guys have done.
60.
Well, for Neil Duff, this is actually a 3rd week in 4. Played at Champions Week, played at the International Pairs, didn't play week 1 here this week. I've seen more of Neil over the last month than I have my own family. Hi, Mum.
100.
At least she always knows where to find you, Henry.
Yeah, Pluto TV, 9:30 in the morning.
A bit of pressure applied to the 106.
Require 106.
To hit back, and to hit back with what would have been his full three-figure out of the night.
Steve, you
so this
require
is to create a bit of
102.
daylight between the pair.
Yeah, it was a 113 for West that turned his fortunes around against Duff in the group stages, but 102 not to beat.
48. Nearly require 32.
Double four.
Game
and why
shot
is there
in the
no
second
surprise
leg.
that after two
Neil
legs,
Duff.
this pair are inseparable?
Third leg, it's Steve to throw first. Game on.
No hanging about there for Steve West. Straight up onto the oche and straight into a second maximum.
41.
Look how dialed in these pair are. I know it's a final, I get that.
60.
But this just isn't any old final for the pair. I mean, Neil Duff called out Steve West in a similar fashion to Delia Smith the last time he won here.
83.
Where are you, Steve? Let's be having you, Steve.
Well, he might be having one of the best versions of Steve West that we have seen here for a while at the Live Lounge. He has had injuries over the last few years, but seems to have got through the other side of them.
Steve, you require 161.
It's that thirst for success that keeps him going.
45.
Well, the fact that he won in Group A and he could have had his feet up and could have just maybe had a practice locally, but decided to go and play in a tournament. I think that shows you how much that thirst is alive for Steve.
Well, West isn't going to find the 116. Duff has a chance to
51.
break.
Nearly require
And,
115.
Take the ascendancy in this final. I was looking for the treble 18 there to look at the double.
55.
Unable to find.
Steve, you
West should
require
go 25 here for two at tops.
A single 14 for tops.
Game shot.
Clean take and finish, and one that Steve West really enjoyed. Got a feeling that the man that now lives
leg,
just
it's
down the
Neil to
road
throw
in
first.
Louisville
Game
has
on.
got a firm fan base here.
Now, a lot of the people in this audience play alongside Steve in a Wednesday night league at the
60.
Phoenix Club in Waterlooville. In fact, a lot of the youngsters you see in the audience actually play in the Portsmouth Darts Academy, which is based there. The coach in the audience,
100.
Frankie Howard, does a fantastic job of that. And I can tell you now, from first-hand experience, I've played in that tournament a couple of times. Some of the talent that's come through that academy system are frighteningly good.
Yeah, including Frankie's son Leo.
Very good player is Leo.
Very good.
13.
And I imagine, there's Frankie, coach, yes, and he's proud of his position at the academy. But I do imagine Steve West being one of those
100.
people, because he's local and because of how he is. We know what he's like when he's here. He takes players under his wing. He will impart advice, hence probably why he's got so much support.
58.
Universally popular off the oche is Steve West, but it's on the oche where he's looking to do his business here. And it's interesting, actually, when you think about these two. Neil Duff's a world
60.
champion of the Lakeside. Steve West has had big runs at big events in the PDC. Their biggest titles are probably away from here so far.
140.
But I feel like when we think about their legacy, it's going to be this place that's thought of first.
Yeah, I think a lot of it will be from here. And it's funny that they've both had very different paths in the world of darts, but these paths have collided here at the Super Series.
Matthew Edgar said this is the place where worlds collide, and he couldn't be more right with that
100.
statement.
Steve, you require 141.
This would be world class. 141 isn't going to go. Neil Duff needs just one treble here from the first two to give himself a poke at the ball. But he may have to get it because for the first time, his throw's under pressure.
Yeah, sarcastic thumbs up from Neil Duff because the 130 is one of those shots where you get 2 attempts to go for the treble 20. If you hit one of him,
45.
You're going to leave the ball.
Steve, you require 86.
A big slip with the first, and West with a bona fide break opportunity. The ball for West.
61. Neil, you require
Just
85.
dropped low. The line of sight was absolutely perfect. But it's presented Neil Duff with an opportunity to hang on to his throw. To hang on in this game.
Game shot on the fourth leg.
That
Neil
is
Duff.
so good. And I'm not sure there's the words to tell you how gutsy that was
Fifth
under the
leg, it's Steve to throw
circumstances.
first. Game on.
Locked and level.
83.
Why does it feel like this final is destined to go all the way? It's just the way these two operate.
100.
Yeah, well, so far, every leg going with throw. And it was Steve West, as we mentioned, that won the ball. And if that is something that carries on, then it will be West that picks up the title.
81.
But Neil Duff most certainly will have different ideas.
$55.
Hardly anything separating the two.
The biggest shame about this is only one of them could play at Champions Week. That's the only bad thing about this being the final in week 2.
140.
West needs a couple of trebles, isn't going to get, so Neil's going to get 6 on this
57.
206 to get a break, which will put him in front. There's Big Ben. What a week he's had. Wasn't to be, lost to Neil Duff in the semi-finals. And Duff may be beginning to make his move.
138.
Yeah, Steve West's throw is severely under pressure.
140. Nearly requires 68.
Someone's just got a little bit too enthusiastic at the worst possible time. And Neil Duff just going back to the drinks table to recompose and start again.
He knows this is a golden opportunity. It's double 16 for a break and throw.
Shot on the fifth leg.
The 85 finished the leg before under severe pressure, followed by that
Sixth leg,
64
it's
finish.
Neil
They
to
may
throw
not be
first.
the
Game
big
on.
ton plus checkouts, but they are all so important.
We mentioned it earlier. It may not have the big numbers this final, but it's getting big moments leg in, leg
140.
out, which is why it's so enthralling. It's mesmerising. It's the type of darts you just cannot take your eyes off.
$100.
You can feel the tension on the stage. You feel the tension in the crowd.
100.
Sid Waddell famously said you could probably hear the vinegar drop off a chip.
30.
Well, things may be going from bad to worst for Steve West, to a 4-2 victory over Neil Duff in the group
100.
stages, but now finds himself very much on the back foot because Neil Duff, after just 9 darts, is down to a finish.
60. Nearly require 161.
This is for title number 7 in a weekly sense. It would be an 8th, including a double trouble.
30.
Well, only 30 points found, but Steve West now cannot leave a finish.
100.
Is it Neil
Nearly
Duff's
require
time
131.
once again?
The wait goes on.
91.
The setup is on point for Neil Duff.
$133. Neil, you require 40.
Topspeed first dart bends the wire. Looking to adjust, and it is a cry. It's 7th heaven for Neil Duff as he denies Steve West a 6th title. Great embrace from the pair of them to say there's a healthy rivalry on the stage, but a brilliant friendship off the oche as well. And Neil Duff does manage to win his 7th title. A 4-2 win for the Duff man, who did not have the easiest route through to the final. Had to strive to get to Group B, strive to make the final, but he is the victor.
He is the victor. He's the victor again. Neil Duff remains the most decorated, deadliest darter at the Super Series. A 4-2 winner of his nearest rival in those stakes, Steve West, in a match that, well, I think really took it out of both of them. To be fair, Duff, over the course of the week, has had to work his way into it, but in the end, he has come good, and it is delight for Neil Duff once again here, and he will be at Champions Week once again. The one that has evaded him so far, can he get his hands on it this time around? We'll find out in 10 weeks, but tonight he is about to get his hands on a trophy. First, he'll speak to Henry Deacon.
Thank you very much, Murph. Neil, many congratulations. 7th time we've done this after a weekly win, and I just get the sense this one feels a little bit different for yourself.
I think because it was me and Steve in the final, it meant so much to both of us. He smashed me up all week. That's, I think, 4 times he's beat me this week. So, after we played in the group, I did say, I'm going to smash you in the final. 6 was unbelievable. 7, who's going to beat it?
So I just said Steve is. I just want to talk about that rivalry that you two have. It's a very healthy one, but I get the sense that both of you keep each other going here.
We drive each other. That's what we do. But the thing is, from the minute this game on, it's rivalry. From the minute the game shot, we're still probably one of my best friends in darts, and he always will be. I actually apologise to him now.
In terms
to him there for shouting and giving it some. Yeah, you know me better than most and what it means to me. Yeah, number 7.
Number 7, you're most definitely now in a league of your own, and this is a hat-trick of back-to-back weekly wins for yourself. It feels like you've very much got your mojo back here.
Champions Week? I need a Champions Week. I could do this all day, but I need a Champions Week. Oh, damn it. You know what? I got off to a bad start this week with flights and stuff like that there. So to come out on top on a Saturday night with the field of guys that was there. Big shout out to Bonito, who's been absolutely brilliant. It's the first time I met him. We've got pretty friendly, so we have. And we're going to play pairs together. And yeah, and that little Bilbo, I call him. Yeah, this rivalry will go on for a long time, but I think at the end of the day, that was the final that everyone wanted. Was me and Steve. It's been picked up, and I'm sure Double Trouble, they'll be out to get me back.
Is that a little spoiler?
Sorry. the fact that my face is on the poster outside, I'll be here, so I don't know where Steve's been invited or not. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm going to assume he probably has, but I want to talk about the way that you've been able to deal with tricky situations this week, and in particular last night. We spoke up in that studio there. There was moments you thought maybe you were gone, but you managed to pull out some big finishes at big times, and you managed to do exactly the same this evening. How key has your finishing been under pressure this week been to your success, particularly tonight?
I think over the course of the last 10 to 12 months, my finishing has become the biggest part of my game. I've worked hard on it. I've worked hard on board management. But even the last night I won, I took out some hefty checkouts when I had to do it, and that's about what it's all about. It's when you're doing it under pressure, whenever you know. And Paul Hogan, I took the 1-6-1 out last night, which probably just kept me in the game. If I'd lost that there, I could have been out. But yeah, I'll continue to keep practicing my doubles and my snatch 3 dart checkouts. They're there at the minute now, so long may they continue.
10 weeks away, we're going to miss you, Neil. It's probably the longest we've not seen you here at the Super Series. But what's going to be the plan between now and Champions Week? Because we've spoken about this a number of times. I'm sure if you could achieve one thing in 2026, it's to finally lift the big one.
Yeah, but again, it's just made the calendar just even busier. I'm actually going to have to fly back from Vegas to be here for Champions Week because it's the week after. So yeah, it's just got... yeah, so next couple of weeks, Dominic and I we're going down to Lake Como for a bit of a break, and then I have the ADC belt to play, and then we have the Swiss Open, Timisoara. So yeah, it's always busy, but I'm going to enjoy the next couple of weeks off.
Well, it's that time again. Neil, many congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, for a 7th time, the weekly winner is the Duff man, Neil Duff!
Never gets boring, does it? Lifting a trophy once again here at the Super Series. Neil Duff, after the final that he said was the one that everybody wanted. It was the one that he wanted. But we're seeing a different side to Neil a little bit here, aren't we? He's sinking in the enormity of the achievement. And he said, look, 6 was brilliant. Who's going to beat 7?
Yeah, and it's great to see that emotion. And I think that's built up over this week. We've had the narrative. As mentioned, it was Steve and it was Neil that kicked everything off. And you can just see players from the academy, the coach, Frankie, just going over to congratulate Neil. They're great scenes to see. But ultimately, Neil Duff... he just knows how to do it, even if it's not straightforward. And I think maybe that's a bit of an emotional release because it was a tough week to win.
Yeah, and we had an interview with the pair of them, didn't we? And they played that game exactly like they characterised their relationship. Friends until the referee says game on or game shot, and then they're friends again afterwards.
Yeah, there was fun, wasn't there, on the walk-on? Yeah, everything was kind of, the line was drawn. They said game on, and then they were friends again once it had finished. And it's the best way to play the sport if you can do that and switch off to the friendship, and that's what they both do.
Because they are two fiery characters when it comes to playing darts, aren't they? They're beasts on that hockey.
They are. We were saying earlier on that they are two players that know. They don't mind saying exactly what they think. When we have a chat with them, they'll be like, "Yeah, no, I'm playing well. I want to win everything. I want to beat everyone." So it's refreshing to hear that level of honesty from them. But they do not back down, and they're both brilliant.
Was there a key moment in the final for you? Where was it won and lost?
I just think at 2-2, I think Neil just started to find a few more big scores. Steve just couldn't fire back in, and then the race was kind of won. When you're on the back foot against Neil Duff, he likes to run away with it, and that's what happened in the last leg.
And we saw in the match between them earlier tonight when he played in the group stages that Steve had to recompose because he'd thrown a dart into the wrong segment. He took out a great finish. That happened in a different way for Neil Duff, a bit of a shout at the wrong time from a member of the audience. And Neil walked away, went to the table, then took out that checkout. And it's kind of a habit that winners have. They won't let anything affect them. Okay, it might in the moment, but they'll go, right, now's not the moment to throw my darts.
Yeah, and a lot of people can learn from that. That shows a level of experience, to have the confidence to stop, walk away, reset yourself, come back, and then take it out. Yeah, that just shows a level of class and confidence that, champions have.
And neither of them, when they got to that point, were going to be in danger of struggling to get over the line here, were they?
You wouldn't have thought so. It possibly wasn't the highest caliber match they've ever had, but it was close and it was really competitive. And you could just see, again, going back to the emotion at the end, how much it meant to Neil Duff in the end.
Yeah, this is that moment. A couple of darts above. Making good markers, just had a little word with himself, come on there, and he found the available part of that double. And Steve West straight away, big smile on his face, clapping behind him. neither of them are strangers to lifting this trophy, but you do get the sense that that particular final just meant that little bit more.
Yeah, especially because if you are a person like Neil who decides to call out an individual and then that individual happens to be your opponent in a final, then you kind of want to back up exactly why you were saying what you were saying. And he did in the end. It could have really gone either way. I just think at that 2-all point, Neil Duff just found an extra gear.
Yeah, he will like looking at this then, will Neil Duff, because he now has managed to increase his title tally. Apologies. We'll go on to that in a moment, but you like looking at this as well, Neil Duff, because he's now going through to Champions Week again. Michael Huntley did it last week. For Neil, it's the one that he really wants. He's made no secret of that. He's got enough of these weekly wins, 7 now, and it's a big one, that, because the gap is bigger for Steve West and Scott Taylor and Derek Coulson to bridge. They're not going to do it unless, well, for Taylor and Coulson, they win a week and Champions Week, and Neil Duff's going to be there trying to stop them. So, look, come the end of it, he could be racing away. But in that Champions Week, he was knocking on the door last time, wasn't he? Semi-finals. I know it's very early, we don't know who's going to be there, but do you feel it's almost destiny for Neil Duff to be adding his name to that roll of honour?
Yeah, it would feel wrong if he doesn't do it eventually. I've always had this theory that when Neil gets to Champions Week, he's almost wanted it that little bit too much. It's that one thing here that he hasn't won. But I thought he got the recipe for success pretty much spot on. Yes, he came unstuck against Steve Green in the semi-final. But, time after time in Champions Week, Neil has started to do better. More and more, good things at the right time. And if he feels like he's in a good place going into it, then ultimately, yes, I think he is a player that could put his name on there.
And are we starting to see now, this has been going for a few years. Luke Littler, of course, with his legacy of winning 2 Champions Weeks here. Are we starting to see players developing a Modus Super Series legacy, and is Neil Duff the player at the forefront of that?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Because obviously we've mentioned now 7 titles, but we've also got the special week title as well. Same with Steve West, and we've have players that have been present right from the very start of this journey, and they come back time after time, and we see different results. But ultimately, you talk about legacy, you talk about Modus Super Series, and the 2 guys in the final tonight, Neil and Steve, they're going to be on the tip of your tongue.
Absolutely. Laura, thanks very much for your company tonight and this week. Thanks for your company as well, but don't go anywhere because there is plenty more coming up here on the Modus Super Series Darts channel on Pluto TV. And straight after this live broadcast, we're going to show you some 9 dart heroes. And not only are we going to show you 9 darters, we're going to show you how to hit them as well, because we will be breaking down their throws. Tomorrow, around lunchtime, tune in for Luke Humphrey's visit to the Live Lounge. He took on some challengers on the Super Series stage and also had an in-depth interview when he was here as well. And then a big name in action next week in Simon Whitlock as week 3 gets underway. Group A will start on Monday morning as usual at 9:30 a.m. as players look to add their name to Champions Week with Neil Duff and Michael Huntley, and of course finals night, same time, same place, 7:30 Saturday night here on Pluto TV. Well, they were on a collision course from the start of their night, weren't they, to see who could be the best here at the Super Series, who could win the most. But Duff has done it again. It is 7th heaven for Duffman. Good night.
This would be some recovery, some act of escapology.
Game
that
shot
is out
and
of the top draw.
Steve West.
A Wednesday night league in Waterloo as Edwards looks at double 8 for
Game
1 from
shot
6 to
and
take
the
us all the
sixth
way.
leg.
It would have meant that Neil Duff would have had work to do irrespective in game 5. Double top for another ton topper.
Game shot and the 3rd leg.
When his batsman
Duff.
against the wall this week, people unable to repeat the feat here. Hogan looking at a 116. Double 18.
Game
to add
shot
the
and the 1-1-6
leg. To an impressive
Paul Hogan.
catalogue. To wrap up what has been a comprehensive display. It's not been Bonito
Game
van der
shot.
Pas at his best, but he
And the
hasn't had
match.
to be.
Bonito
Well,
van
that
der
was
Pas. Game shot.
And it is Reese
And the
Collie
match.
who gets
Reese
the victory.
Well, this has been a rout. And that is an 11-dart leg
And the match.
for Steve
Steve
West.
West. Game, shot.
And it is
And the
Neil
match.
Duff who
Neil
gets
Duff.
across. Tops for Duff, first dart bends the wire. Looking to adjust, and
shot.
it
And
is a
your
cry.
Series
It's 7th heaven
14
for
Week
Neil
2
Duff as
champion
he
is
denies
Neil
Steve
Duff.
West.
Ladies and gentlemen, for a 7th time, the weekly winner is the Duff Man, Neil
The new Modus Super Series champion.
It's another incredible moment tonight.
Jeff Smith.
It's match start.
5-star performance.
Ball for big fish.
It's
Jack Drayton!
He will be disappointed with that. He wanted to have
Graham
one dart.
requires 20.
Graham Usher wins the first game of Champions Night, and it was an absolute ripper. He hit one of them on tops. He missed one on double 12. Which one is it? It's the hit.
Outside opportunity for Andy Hamilton. Van der Velde should be getting a match start again here. He's already had one. Mr. Dart at tops for the match to win 4-1. And the Dart at double 16 gets the job done there for Jurgen van der Velde. He gets over the line with a 4-2-6.
Did he go for tops, or did he just overshoot the single? Jimmy doesn't care. Jimmy just looks to eat this up to make the semi-finals for the second time. Adam Gablas has been eliminated. Keep us guessing. This time he's trying to leave double 18. He knows best, and he takes the lead. He is 2 darts away
Jeff requires 86.
from a Super Series final. He's 1 dart away. He doesn't need any more darts. Jeff Smith makes the Series 11 final. Is Usher losing his cool a little bit here?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, I'd say the head's gone. And you don't have long to recover. It is very, very short format darts. Van Skeet's halfway to victory.
He only needs one more. Jimmy Van Ski is yet again into a Modus Super Series final.
Flashback vibes. Can Jimmy Van Ski do the same? Just needs the one treble here on the 19s. Finds it. For the ball.
101.
Oh, unlucky. A lot of pressure on it. He's going to split it. 2 darts for double 4 for the match.